Chapter 2359. Boom! Ningyu and Taimuyu knew nothing about Dushida's inner thoughts. At this time, they all used all their strength to fight. Although Taimuyu was a peak half-step immortal king, he didn't have the slightest advantage when fighting with Ningyu. On the contrary, as the battle went on, his situation became more and more serious, and he was even at an absolute disadvantage. Humph! You forced me to do this. After a minute of fierce fighting, Taimuyu snorted coldly and immediately took out a black bead from his arms. Swoosh! He flipped his wrist. The black bead immediately left Taimuyu's palm and went straight to Ningyu. The black bead was very fast, and almost in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Ningyu. Boom! As soon as the black bead reached Ningyu, it exploded. Swish! Swish! Countless aftershocks of explosion surrounded Ningyu from all directions. You're still not dead this time. Taimuyu roared. The black bead was his absolute trump card. When he was dealing with Dushida, he was not willing to use it. Now, for the reward of magic crystals, he did not hesitate to use the black bead. After all, compared with magic crystals, a black bead was nothing. Damn it! Seeing the shock waves around him, Ningyu couldn't help but curse. If they really fought with strength, Taimuyu might not be able to win. However, if they fought with trump cards, he was weaker than Taimuyu. Because no matter what, Taimuyu was also the only half-step immortal king expert of the Taimuyu family. All the trump cards of the Taimuyu family must be with him. In this case, if Ningyu wanted to defeat or even kill Taimuyu, the situation was much more difficult. Kill! However, Ningyu didn't panic too much. He quickly waved the red demon sword, and in an instant, several sword lights emerged and collided with the shock waves caused by the explosion of the black bead. Swish, swish, swish! The sword lights and the shock waves collided with each other, making a sizzling sound. As for Ningyu, he stood where he was without moving an inch. How is this possible? When the ironwood fish saw this, his face was filled with shock. He was probably the only one present who knew the power of the black bead. Against a half-step immortal king, a black pearl could instantly kill him if it was a sneak attack. The black pearl was even capable of heavily injuring a peak half-step celestial king. However, a black bead exploded. Ningyu casually swung out a few sword lights and easily blocked it. How could Taimuyu not be surprised by this situation? Although he was surprised, the iron-wooden fish quickly reacted. So what if Ningyu could block the shockwave of the black bead's explosion? You should know. His trump card was not as simple as a black bead. Whoosh! Zhang Xian thought. Iron-wooden fish took out several talismans. Even though there were only a few tens of talismans, the might of every single one of them was sufficient to kill a pseudo-half-step immortal king. Voila! He didn't think much of it. Taimuyu threw all the talismans at Ningyu. Boom! All of a sudden, dozens of talismans exploded all at once. It seemed that Taimuyu had intervened on his own initiative. The aftermath of the explosion this time did not disperse. Instead, it gathered together and blasted towards Ningyu's head. Block it for me. Ningyu's face was solemn, and he immediately slashed out several sword lights, forming a protective shield around his body. Ka! The power of the protective shield was not particularly strong. In just a few seconds, the protective shield was completely shattered. The shockwave produced by the explosion of the talismans reached Ningyu for the first time. It was only one step away from Ningyu. Thunder, tribulation, liquid. At the critical moment, Ningyu immediately swallowed the rest of the thunder tribulation liquid and began to break through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven. Ningyu was very clear about it. In the face of Taimuyu's many trump cards, it was very difficult for him to resist with his middle stage Lord of Heaven cultivation. Even if he could resist the first impact, he would be a little powerless in the face of the second impact and the third impact. In this way, breaking through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven was something that could be done once and for all. The thunder tribulation liquid entered his stomach. Ning Yu hurriedly operated his mental cultivation method to cultivate. Humph! The ignorant are really fearless. Seeing Ning Yu's action, Tai Muyu could not help but snort coldly. At this time, Ning Yu not only did not think of a way to resist his attack, but also broke through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven. In Tai Muyu's view, how could Ning Yu break through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven in just a few seconds? Boom! However, Tai Muyu obviously thought a little too much. Only after 3 seconds, a terrifying aura suddenly emanated from Ning Yu's body. I can't believe it. Feeling the aura emanating from Ning Yu, Tai Muyu directly swore, "Late stage Lord of Heaven." In just a few seconds, Ning Yu actually broke through from the middle stage Lord of Heaven to the late stage Lord of Heaven? How did he do it? Tai Muyu's expression was extremely shocked. It's not good to be distracted now. After advancing to the late stage Lord of Heaven, Ning Yu immediately rushed out with the red demon sword in his hand. In order to break through to the late stage Lord of Heaven, Ning Yu did not hesitate to swallow and refine all the remaining thunder tribulation liquid. Even all the resources he had on him had been used up. It was no exaggeration. The wealth on Ning Yu's body had become very little. However, it was worth it for Ning Yu to improve his cultivation. Others might improve their cultivation from the middle stage Lord of Heaven to the late stage, but their strength would not improve too much. Ning Yu was different. When he was in the middle stage Lord of Heaven, his combat strength could compete with a half-step Immortal King. Even if he faced Tai Muyu, who was at the peak of the half-step Immortal King level, he could still deal with him calmly. If it was not for Tai Muyu's many trump cards, it was hard to know who would win. Now that he had advanced to the late stage Lord of Heaven, Ning Yu's strength had instantly increased several times. When facing Tai Muyu again, Ning Yu did not even need to use his full strength to defeat him. However, Ning Yu's pursuit was not to defeat Tai Muyu, but to kill him, completely kill him. Therefore, Ning Yu stepped on the ground with the red demon's sword in his hand and rushed out, courting death. Seeing Ning Yu rushing towards him, Tai Muyu showed an angry look. Seeing that the time given to him by the old man in white was almost up, if he could not capture Ning Yu, he would lose everything. In order to defeat Ning Yu, he did not hesitate to use many of his trump cards. Taking a deep breath, Tai Muyu forcibly performed a secret technique, burning his blood essence and vitality to improve his strength. Boom! As Tai Muyu continued to burn his blood essence and vitality, his aura was soaring at a terrifying speed. Go! Seeing this, the old man in white did not stop him, but flipped his wrist and threw the two-realm stone into the air. Whoosh! A terrifying beam of light shot out from the two-realm stone, enveloping Ning Yu and Tai Muyu inside. The power of Ning Yu and Tai Muyu's attack had exceeded the limit that this continent could bear. Without the help of the two-realm stone, they would probably be forcibly obliterated by the heavenly law. I can consider demonizing him. Chapter 2360. Demon Stone. A very special kind of stone. Any human martial artist who was eroded by the demon stone would leave the human category within 3 days and become a real heavenly demon. Of course, the demon stone was very precious. Even as a super powerhouse among the heavenly demons, the old man in white didn't have many. Consuming a demon stone to transform Ning Yu didn't seem particularly cost-effective at the moment. Wait a little longer. Looking at the fierce battle between Tai Muyu and Ning Yu, the old man in white didn't make a move. However, the old man in white had made up his mind. As long as Ning Yu could kill Tai Muyu and then do Shida, he would consume a demon stone and turn Ning Yu into a heavenly demon. Boom! Ning Yu and Tai Muyu didn't know what the old man in white was thinking. At this moment, they were fighting desperately. It was a matter of life and death. Neither Tai Muyu nor Ning Yu would hold back. You must die today. Tai Muyu roared and immediately rushed out. He clenched his right hand into a fist and smashed it hard at Ningyu's head. It could be seen. Tai Muyu didn't want to waste any more time with Ningyu. He mobilized all the immortal chi and energy in his body, and even used some of his trump cards. This blow, either Ningyu died or he died. Are you going all out? Looking at Tai Muyu rushing over, Ningyu's face was slightly solemn. Facing Tai Muyu's attack, Ningyu wouldn't be careless at all, because no matter what, Tai Muyu was a peak half-step immortal king. Coupled with the influence of the two-world stone, Tai Muyu could attack without any worries. In this case, what Ningyu really needed to consider was not how to kill Tai Muyu, but how to resist this move. The first burst of energy, the second burst of energy, the third burst of energy. As long as he could resist this move of Tai Muyu, then the energy in Tai Muyu's heart would be relieved. At that time, wasn't Tai Muyu a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? Speed up! Thinking of this, Ningyu immediately gathered all the immortal chi in his body to his ankles, instantly increasing his speed to the maximum. Whoosh! After increasing his speed, Ningyu's speed was so fast that it was terrifying. Even if the iron wooden fish risked its life, it would not be able to catch up to him. Furthermore, the iron wooden fish's main offense was placed in his hands, and for a moment he forgot about his speed. Do you only know how to run? The ironwood fish roared furiously. At this rate, it would be difficult for him to catch up with Ningyu even if he had another hour. If you have the ability, stop and fight with me for real. The ironwood fish roared. Ningyu's way of fighting made him very angry, but there was nothing he could do. The time given to him by the white-robed old man was almost up. If he still could not capture Ningyu, he reckoned that he would have to bear the consequences. Don't think that you're the only one who can speed up. Tai Muyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately ignited his blood essence and began to desperately increase his speed. Whoosh! For a peak half-step immortal king like the ironwood fish, his speed was naturally much faster. Almost in the blink of an eye, Ningyu was caught up by the ironwood fish. Good chance. Seeing the ironwood fish appear in front of him, Ningyu's face revealed a look of ecstasy. Even if the ironwood fish caught up, Ningyu was still fearless. In order to increase his speed, the ironwood fish ignited his blood essence and even gave up the powerful attack that he had just prepared. At this time, even if the ironwood fish caught up, what was there to be afraid of? Boom! Twisting his neck, Ningyu threw a backhand punch. Crack! In the blink of an eye, Ningyu's fist collided with the ironwood fish's fist. There was no suspense. With a crisp crack sound, the ironwood fish flew backward like a kite with a broken string. Boom! His body hit the ground and made a muffled sound. Originally, with Ningyu's means, even if the ironwood fish didn't die after hitting the ground, he would have lost several bones. However, at the critical moment, Dushita suddenly rose up, perhaps under the instructions of the white-robed old man, and helped the ironwood fish absorb a lot of the force. Otherwise, Ningyu's move alone was enough to make the ironwood fish suffer a grievance. But even so, the ironwood fish's breath was weak and it was on the verge of death. What a cruel heart! Dushita checked the condition of the ironwood fish a little, and his face became extremely ugly. It was not that Dushita sympathized with the ironwood fish. On the contrary, he was happy that the ironwood fish was beaten like this. The reason why he behaved like this was because he was angry at Ningyu's ruthlessness. If it was not the ironwood fish that Ningyu fought with, but him, wouldn't he end up the same as the ironwood fish? What a pity! Ningyu glanced at the ironwood fish that fell to the ground and said lightly, if Dushita hadn't intervened, he would have been able to refine the ironwood fish by force. Once he refined the ironwood fish, his overall strength would even increase a little. At that time, even if he faced the old man in white, he might still be able to fight. Suddenly, Ning Yu saw the two-world stone in midair. Without saying a word, Ning Yu immediately jumped up and rushed to the two-world stone at an extremely terrifying speed. The two-world stone was a good thing. As long as he could get the two-world stone, he would be able to attack without any worries. After all, the two-world stone could isolate the oppression of the heavenly way. Want to snatch my two-world stone? Haha, interesting. The old man in white saw Ning Yu's action and couldn't help but feel a little funny. He had left a restriction on the two-world stone. Even if Ning Yu got it, he definitely wouldn't be able to exert its effect. So, he wasn't afraid that the two-world stone would be taken away by Ning Yu. What? But very quickly, the old man in white's expression changed, because he realized that Ning Yu had already come to the side of the two-world stone and was holding it in his hand. Also, after holding the two-world stone, Ning Yu threw it into his robes. That was the key point. The old man in white's pupils constricted. Obviously, he had lost contact with the two-world stone. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, the white-robed old man immediately rushed out and charged at Ning Yu at an extremely terrifying speed. The two-world stone was a good thing. Without the two-world stone, even he couldn't exert combat strength that surpassed a pinnacle half-step heaven immortal. Although he still had one more two-world stone, it wasn't enough for him to use his ultimate move. The limit that this continent could withstand was the same for ordinary experts. There wasn't much of a difference, since their strength couldn't reach it anyway. But for a powerful sky demon like the old man in white, as long as he had the two-world stone, he could forcefully increase the limit. There were a total of 5 stages between a pinnacle half-step heaven immortal king and an immortal king. When his strength reached the 5th stage, he could attempt to become a real immortal king. For example, Tai Muyu and Du Shida, although they were said to be pinnacle half-step heaven immortal, they hadn't even reached the 1st stage. As for the old man in white, he had reached the 2nd stage. He was a 2nd stage half-step heaven immortal. 2 two-world stones could allow the old man in white to exert the strength of a 2nd stage half-step heaven immortal. With one, he could only exert the strength of a 1st stage half-step heaven immortal. If it was a few months ago, the old man in white naturally wouldn't care. Chapter 2361. Kid, give me back the two-realm stone. Although the white-robed elder was making a huge commotion, he didn't attack Ning Yu. Instead, he stopped a few steps away from Ning Yu. The two-realm stone was extremely precious. The white-robed elder didn't want to force Ning Yu into a corner and cause Ning Yu to destroy the two-realm stone. At this moment, negotiating with Ning Yu seemed to be the best choice. Why should I give it back to you? The more the white-robed elder valued the two-realm stone, the more Ning Yu couldn't return it. He looked at the white-robed elder coldly and said indifferently, I took the two-realm stone from the Iron Muyu. If I want to return it, I should return it to him. Don't be so shameless. The white-robed elder's face was extremely gloomy. If it wasn't to ensure the safety of the two-realm stone, he would have killed Ning Yu a long time ago. Why would he be entangled with Ning Yu like this? Hee. Ning Yu smiled and said, I know what you are thinking. If you are not convinced, you can come over. Anyway, I have nothing to lose. If you dare to do anything to me, I will destroy the two-realm stone immediately. How dare you? The white-robed elder released his aura and said angrily, You can try. Ning Yu shrugged and showed an indifferent attitude. Anyway, he couldn't return the two-realm stone to the white-robed elder. Although Ning Yu didn't know how important the two-realm stone was to the white-robed elder, it wasn't Ning Yu's style to return something that was already in his hands. Du Shida, the white-robed elder, was so angry that his nose was crooked. He turned to look at Du Shida and said in a deep voice, Go and capture Ning Yu's friend. Me. Du Shida pointed at his nose and looked a little hesitant. Even Ning Yu could kill the Iron Muyu by force, let alone Lin Lang. After all, Lin Lang was at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm, while Ning Yu was only at the late stage of the Heaven Monarch realm. Humph! I'll give you a few magical crystals. He snorted coldly, then flicked his wrist and threw 3 black crystals to Dushita. Pah! Dushita had an ecstatic look on his face as he received the magical crystal. He naturally knew how precious magic crystals were. The ironwood fish had even lost his life in order to obtain the magic crystal. He was different from the ironwood fish. The ironwood fish could only get the magic crystal if he brought back Ningyu. As for him, he could get the magic crystal beforehand. Kacha! Without any hesitation, Dushita threw the magical crystal into his mouth and began to chew and cultivate. Boom! As soon as the mana crystal entered his stomach, a terrifying aura emanated from Dushita's body and soared into the sky. Close to the first stage, sensing the aura emitted from Dushita's body, Lin Lang's expression changed slightly. Even though Dushita was a peak half-step immortal king, and his strength had reached the limit that this continent could endure, he wasn't particularly afraid of him. After all, the limit was the limit. Dushita could reach it, but it didn't mean that he could use it unscrupulously. But now, Dushita swallowed a piece of magic crystal, causing his strength to soar by a lot. Although he hadn't reached the first stage, he wasn't far from it. Eat my fist! With the increase in strength, Dushita's confidence also increased. He raised his head and shouted loudly, then he flashed out explosively and charged swiftly towards Lin Lang. Because Dushita's strength had increased by a lot, he only needed a short second to arrive in front of Lin Lang. Damn it! Seeing Dushita's appearance, Lin Lang cursed in his heart. After that, he gathered the energy in his body on his fist and punched out. Pum! The 2 fists collided. Dushita and Lin Lang retreated a few steps at the same time. Just looking at this attack, Dushita had the absolute upper hand, because he had only retreated 10 steps, whereas Lin Lang had retreated an entire 30 steps before stopping. If I didn't use so many talismans, I could kill you in an instant. Lin Lang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said coldly, Dushita, I advise you to repent. Otherwise, when I reach the immortal court, the first one I will destroy will be the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom. If you want to destroy the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom, it depends on whether you have the strength to do so. Dushita wouldn't hold back. Firstly, he was really angry. Secondly, the white-robed elder was still watching from the side. He had taken a few magic crystals as a reward. If he couldn't take down Lin Lang as soon as possible, even he would feel embarrassed. Kill! Dushita's figure flashed as he rushed out again. How about it? Think about it. Return the 2-world stone to me. Then join the Sky Demon. I guarantee that you will be able to control an army of tens of thousands of heaven monarchs. On the other side, the white-robed elder didn't choose to fight to the death with Ningyu. Using both carrot and stick was the right choice. First, he would give Dushita magic crystals to increase his strength. After that, he would capture Dushita in front of Ningyu, giving Ningyu a lot of pressure. Finally, he was not afraid that Ningyu would reject him again. Really? Sure enough. As soon as the white-robed elder finished his words, Ningyu looked delighted and asked, Controlling an army of tens of thousands of heaven monarchs is a little unreliable. Can you give me a few magic crystals? When the white-robed elder took out the magic crystals just now, Ningyu also felt the terrifying waves contained in them. The energy contained in a magic crystal was almost equivalent to 1/10 of the thunder tribulation liquid. One had to know. The thunder tribulation liquid of Ningyu's heaven monarch tribulation was comparable to the ironwood divine spring. A magic crystal was equivalent to 1/10 of the thunder tribulation liquid, which was enough to show the preciousness of the magic crystals. According to Ningyu's deduction, if he could get 10 magic crystals, his cultivation would soon advance to the peak of the heaven monarch realm or even the half-step immortal king. Return the 2-world stone to me first. How could the white-robed elder be so stupid? If Ning Yu didn't give him the two-world stone first, he definitely wouldn't give the magic crystals to Ning Yu. Don't think I'm a fool. Ning Yu twitched his mouth and said, if I return the two-world stone to you, you definitely won't give me the magic crystals. Humph. The white-robed elder took a step forward and snorted. Don't be so shameless. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't give me the two-world stone, I'll kill you immediately. Even if I don't give you the two-world stone, I'll kill you. The reason why the white-robed elder didn't attack was that he was afraid that Ning Yu would really destroy the two-world stone. But at this time he was obviously provoked. To be honest, it wasn't particularly worthwhile to waste time with Ning Yu here for a two-world stone. With his identity, if he returned to the base camp of the extraterrestrial demons now, he should be able to apply for another two-world stone. The only trouble was that it would take him 3 years. From the base camp of the extraterrestrial demons to here, even for him, it would take him 3 years. How about this? Ning Yu rolled his eyes and looked at Lin Lang, who couldn't hold on any longer, then looked at the white-robed elder. He clenched his teeth and said, give me 5 magic crystals first, then I'll throw the two-world stone between us. The white-robed elder thought about it and felt that it was a good idea. However, he extended a finger and said, 1 magic crystal. 1 is not enough, at least 4. Ning Yu shook his head and said, 2. The white-robed elder clenched his teeth and said, 4. 3, that's the limit. Chapter 2362. Here you go. The old man in white didn't seem to be afraid that Ning Yu would go back on his word. He flicked his wrist and threw out 3 demonic crystals. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Seeing the 3 demonic crystals flying towards him, Ning Yu raised his right hand and caught them steadily. After checking the authenticity of the demonic crystals, Ning Yu took out the two-realm stone from the heavenly demon tower. As soon as Ning Yu took out the two-realm stone, the old man in white's expression changed slightly. If he was hesitant just now, he was almost sure that Ning Yu had a treasure that could isolate the aura of the two-realm stone. Swoosh! As the old man in white was thinking, Ning Yu had already thrown out the two-realm stone. Ning Yu was very reliable. When he said to throw the two-realm stone in the middle, he did it. Now, the distance between Ning Yu and the old man in white was exactly the same. Give me the remaining 7 demonic crystals, and I won't fight with you for the two-realm stone. Ning Yu said indifferently, even if you fight with me, can you succeed? The old man in white snorted coldly and said sinisterly, obviously. The old man in white didn't intend to give the remaining demonic crystals to Ning Yu. In his opinion, the two-realm stone was between him and Ning Yu. With his speed, he could definitely hide to the two-realm stone before Ning Yu. Ning Yu was only a late-stage heavenly monarch. How could he fight with him? You can try. Ning Yu had obviously expected the old man in white to do this. He shrugged and said indifferently, let's see if you can get the two-realm stone first, or if I'm faster. You're cheating. The old man in white took a step forward and released his aura, which pressed towards Ning Yu crazily. Don't talk to me about these things. Ning Yu's expression was indifferent as he said, in short, give me the 7 magical crystals, and I won't fight you for the two-world stone. Otherwise, I won't let you have it, even if I have to destroy it. The white-clothed old man's expression was gloomy and uncertain. He had indeed thought too little. With Ning Yu's intelligence, how could he let him get the two-world stone so easily? Ning Yu was already very lucky to be able to throw the two-realm stone in the middle. All right, I'll give you the crystal. The white-robed elder pondered for a moment before he took out 7 magical crystals and threw them at Ning Yu. Swish, 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 swish. The 7 mana crystals flew towards Ning Yu from 7 different directions. Go in. Ning Yu reacted quickly and immediately grabbed the 7 magical crystals. Furthermore, Ning Yu did not choose to keep the magical crystal in his robes. Instead, he threw it into the Heavenly Demon Tower along with the other three. The Heavenly Demon Tower had a suppressive effect on heavenly demons and could block their senses. By placing the magical crystals in the Heavenly Demon Tower, the white-robed elder would not be able to retrieve them even if he had any schemes. As for the two-world stone in the middle, Ningyu had no intention of fighting with the white-robed elder for it. There was no other reason. The Heavenly Demon Tower had already separated the two-world stone. To be more precise, there was a miniature version of the two-world stone in the Heavenly Demon Tower. The two-world stone that the white-robed elder obtained was just the tip of the iceberg. The truly useful part, the part that could resist the pressure of the Heavenly Tao, was in the Heavenly Demon Tower. Ha ha ha. The white-robed elder did not know this. He held the Heavenly Demon Tower and inspected it. Then he raised his head and let out a maniacal laugh. After laughing, the white-robed elder looked at Ningyu coldly and said fiercely, "Now that I have the two-world stone, I'll give you a chance to live. Open your mind and let me control you. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is." Whoosh! As he spoke, the white-robed elder took out a black stone from his robes. Demonic stone. After much consideration, the white-robed elder finally made up his mind to use the demonic stone on Ningyu. A peerless genius like Ningyu would have limitless potential as long as he was nurtured a little. It was not a waste to use a demonic stone on Ningyu. "You want me to open my mind." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "Why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror to see if you're qualified?" Crack! As Ningyu conversed with the white-robed elder, he used a secret skill to refine the demonic crystal in the Heavenly Demon Tower. Chi-chi! A steady stream of energy flowed through the Heavenly Demon Tower and entered Ningyu's skin before entering his body. His mental cultivation method circulated quickly. Ningyu cultivated quickly, trying to increase his cultivation to the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm before the white-robed elder went crazy. In fact, Ningyu was not weak. After advancing to the late-stage Heavenly Monarch realm, his overall strength was equivalent to the limit of this continent when he used all his trump cards. However, there was still a gap between him and the first-stage half-step Immortal King. The white-robed elder was a second-stage half-step Immortal King, and he had one two-realm stone, which meant that he could exert the strength of a first-stage half-step Immortal King. How powerful was a first-stage half-step Immortal King? At the very least, before Ningyu advanced to the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm, he would not be a match for a first-stage half-step Immortal King. "It seems that you won't give up until you see the coffin." The white-robed elder played with the two-realm stone in his hand and said, "I will let you know the true strength of a second-stage half-step Immortal King." Boom! The next moment, the white-robed elder threw the two-realm stones into the air, and the aura in his body burst out without reservation. Crack, crack, crack. The aura of a second-stage half-step Immortal King was extremely powerful. Under the pressure of the white-robed elder's aura, Dushita and Lin Lang, who were fighting over there, stopped and looked at the white-robed elder. "It's dangerous." Lin Lang did not look good. He came from the Immortal Court, so he naturally knew what a second-stage half-step Immortal King was. The aura that burst out of the white-robed elder had reached the peak of a second-stage half-step Immortal King, and he was only one step away from the third-stage half-step Immortal King. Originally, this was outside the Immortal Court, and the stronger the strength that burst out, the more likely it was to cause the pressure of the Heavenly Tao. However, the white-robed elder had a two-realm stone. The two-realm stone could completely deceive the Heavenly Tao, so the white-robed elder could attack and scrupulously rumble. However, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Ningyu did not care about the pressure that burst out of the white-robed elder's aura. "Lin Lang, leave with me." With both feet on the ground, Ningyu immediately flew to Lin Lang's side, grabbed Lin Lang's shoulder, and said in a deep voice, Show all your trump cards. Don't hold anything back. Why? Lin Lang hesitated. With the white-robed elder's powerful strength of a second-stage, half-step immortal king, even if he and Ningyu worked together, they might not be able to escape. However, looking at the look in Ningyu's eyes, Lin Lang still felt that things were not that simple. Why do you have so many questions? Ningyu kicked Lin Lang's butt and said coldly, if you want to leave, then leave. If not, then scram. Go. Lin Lang could not care less about the kick from Ningyu, and immediately wrapped the immortal chi around his ankles, and immediately fled into the distance. Where are you going? Puff! Seeing Lin Lang and Ningyu leave, the white-robed elder raised his head and shouted. Chapter 2363. There's something wrong with the Two-Realm Stone. How smart was the old man in white? In an instant he discovered the problem. Logically speaking, two Two-Realm Stones could unleash the strength of two half-step immortal kings. There should be no problem at all. But now, he was being oppressed by the heavenly law, which was enough to prove that there was something wrong with the Two-Realm Stone. I shouldn't have trusted you. The old man in white looked at Ningyu with a gloomy face and shouted, Go and stop him. I'll reward anyone who stops him with 100 demonic crystals. Whoosh! There would be brave men under the generous reward. When the old man in white came, he brought many Lord of Heaven experts among the sky fiends. Now, these celestial demons were attacking Ningyu one after another. Demonic crystals were crystals that only half-step immortal kings or immortal kings could use. If these Lord of Heaven-level sky fiends were lucky enough to get a demonic crystal, they might even have a chance to break through to half-step immortal king. What should we do? Seeing so many sky fiends coming, Lin Lang hurriedly asked. It's about time. Kill. Ningyu took out the red demon sword and immediately turned around to attack. This distance was already beyond the attack range of the old man in white. Even if the old man in white was crushed to death by the heavenly law and self-destructed, it would be difficult to affect this side. So, Ningyu immediately launched an attack and fought with the sky fiends. Most of these sky fiends were Lord of Heaven level. With Ningyu's late-stage Lord of Heaven cultivation and the red demon sword, it would be easy to kill them. Poof! 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 Ningyu killed 70% of the sky fiends, and Lin Lang killed 20%. There was one thing that was beyond Ningyu's expectation. Not only were he and Lin Lang killing the sky fiends, but even Dushita also joined in and killed 10% of the sky fiends. It was obvious. Dushita had already predicted that the old man in white would be killed. He was obviously going to be controlled by the old man in white. Next, he was very likely to face the attacks of Ningyu and Lin Lang. In order to prevent being killed, it was the right choice to rely on Ningyu and Lin Lang. Rumble. Ningyu was only slightly surprised by Dushita's attack, but he did not think too much about it. Ningyu's true attention was completely focused on the white-clothed old man. Whether or not the white-robed old man could be crushed to death by the heavenly Tao was the key. If the white-robed old man was still alive, it would be a foolish decision for them to stay. However, if the white-robed old man died, then staying behind would be the best choice. Damn it! In the distance, the white-clothed old man could not help but curse in his heart. After he found out that the two-world stone was fake, he wanted to withdraw his aura at the first possible moment and only unleash the strength of a half-step celestial king. After all, he had a piece of two-world stone. If he only exerted the strength of a half-step immortal king, he would definitely not be suppressed by the Heaven Tao. However, it was a pity. Even though he withdrew his aura, he still couldn't escape the oppression of the heavenly Tao. Ka. The heavenly Tao's oppression was extremely powerful. In just a few seconds, several of the white-robed old man's ribs were broken. Ningyu, I beg of you, give me the two-world stone. Seeing that he could not hold on any longer, the white-robed old man immediately begged Ningyu for help. As long as you give me the two-world stone, I'll do anything. I can open my mind for you to control, and I can also help you unify the heavenly demon army. Do you think I'm stupid? Ningyu rolled his eyes. If he gave the white-robed old man the two-world stone, he reckoned that when the white-robed old man withstood the oppression of the heavenly Tao, he would be the first one to be killed. Ningyu would not be so stupid. Seeing that Ningyu was unwilling, the white-robed old man let out a hysterical roar. Without the two-world stone, his fate was almost predictable. He would definitely die. Dushita! Seeing that he could not get the two-world stone from Ningyu, the white-robed old man immediately shifted his target to Dushita. No matter what, he had absolute control over Dushita. I'll give you a chance to snatch the two-world stone for me. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. The white-robed old man began to threaten Dushita, forcing him to snatch the two-world stone for him. However, even if Dushita had the ability to snatch the two-world stone, he would not do it, let alone if he could. Right now, the white-robed old man was being oppressed by the heavenly Tao and had almost lost the ability to control him. What he had to do was to wait quietly for the white-robed old man to be killed. Then, he would think of a way to reconcile with Ningyu. After all, as long as the white-robed old man was killed, he would regain his freedom. You're courting death. Dushita's inaction enraged the white-robed old man. He hollered, wanting to trigger the energy in Dushita's body. However, just as the white-robed old man was about to trigger it, he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and his face turned extremely pale. Don't waste your energy. Ningyu's expression was indifferent as he said, It's your honor to die under the oppression of the heavenly Tao. I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. The white-robed old man's face was ferocious and his veins were bulging. Clearly he wanted to self-destruct. Swoosh! However, right then, a whirlpool suddenly appeared in midair. An extremely terrifying devouring force shot out from the vortex and struck the white-robed old man's body. Pissed. Subsequently, the white-robed old man's body was shriveling at a speed that could be seen by the naked eye. At this rate, it would take at most a minute for him to be devoured into human skin. Piak! However, it was obvious that Ningyu had made a wrong judgment. A minute? In just a short 10 seconds, the white-robed old man was devoured into human skin. Swoosh! The devouring whirlpool in midair also disappeared without a trace. Everything seemed to have returned to peace. Bang! Crack! After the white-robed elder died, one of the two-world stones fell to the ground, and the other two-world stone shattered. The two-realm stone that fell to the ground was a useful two-realm stone. As for the shattered one, it was returned to the white-robed old man by Ningyu. Ningyu didn't waste any time. His figure flashed, and he firmly held the two-realm stone in his hand. At this moment, together with the two-realm stone in the heavenly demon tower, Ningyu had a total of two two-realm stones. Of course, possessing the two-realm stone did not mean that Ningyu had the strength comparable to a second-stage half-step immortal king. His strength was still at the peak of the half-step immortal king realm. Instead of cultivating immediately, Ningyu squatted down on the white-robed old man and started searching. As the white-robed old man was devoured into human skin, Ningyu didn't find any pills, demonic crystals, or other useful resources. What's this? After searching for a full 10 seconds, Ningyu found a palm-sized token on the white-robed old man's body. King. There was only one word on the token, King. Ningyu frowned. What did King mean? Could it be that the white-robed old man was the king of the heavenly demons? There are a total of 4 kings among the heavenly demons. Lin Lang had already come to Ningyu's side. He looked at the token in Ningyu's hand and explained, The strongest among the heavenly demons is the Devil Emperor. It's said that his cultivation has reached the immortal king realm. Under the Devil Emperor, there are 4 kings. Their cultivation ranges from first stage half-step Immortal King to fifth stage half-step Immortal King. The white-robed old man that you killed should be one of the 4 kings. Chapter 2364. Immortal King? Demon Emperor? For kings? Ningyu was dumbfounded. He knew that the heavenly demons were powerful, but he had never expected them to be this powerful. Originally, he thought that since the white-robed old man's cultivation had reached the 2nd stage of the half-step Immortal King realm, even if he couldn't be ranked first among the Sky Fiends, he could be ranked in the top 3. But now it seemed that the white-robed old man was not even in the top 5 among the Sky Fiends. This was because the 4 great kings and the Demon Emperor were celestial demons on the surface. Since ancient times, no force would reveal all their trump cards. So, there was definitely more than one Immortal King among the Sky Fiends. Looks like I have to be more careful in the future. Ning Yu's expression turned solemn. With his current strength, it was already very difficult for him to fight against a half-step Immortal King, let alone a real Immortal King. How about it? Do you want to go to the Immortal Court with me? As Ning Yu was thinking, Lin Lang's voice rang in his ears again. If you don't enter the Immortal Court, you will be hunted by the Devil Emperor for the rest of your life. Lin Lang continued, and after entering the Immortal Court, no matter how strong the Devil Emperor is, he will definitely not be able to enter. Upon hearing Lin Lang's words, Ningyu rolled his eyes. Obviously, Lin Lang was just scaring him, although the white-robed elder's death was because of him, who was the Demon Emperor. As expected, the Demon Emperor would definitely not take the risk to hunt him down, just for a white-robed old man. Sha! Moving his feet, Ningyu walked straight towards the ironwood fish. Originally, Ningyu had only heavily injured the ironwood fish. However, because there was no one to treat the ironwood fish died a horrible death in the end. The white-robed old man had been swallowed into human skin, but the ironwood fish had not. Ning Yu's current cultivation was at the late stage of the Heaven Monarch realm. Once he devoured the ironwooden fish, there was a great possibility that he would advance to the peak stage of the Heaven Monarch realm. When he was in the late stage Heavenly Monarch realm, Ningyu was able to contend with and even kill a peak half-step Immortal King. One could imagine, after advancing to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm, even if he encountered a half-step Immortal King, he would be able to deal with it calmly and even forcefully kill it. Ningyu did not waste any time. He walked to the ironwood fish's side, squatted down, and placed his right hand on its forehead. Chi. A terrifying devouring power flowed from Ning Yu's body into the head of the ironwood fish through his palm. Next, the ironwood fish's body was withering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, a minute passed. The ironwood fish was completely swallowed into human skin. Boom! A terrifying aura burst out from Ning Yu's body and rushed to the sky, the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. At this moment, Ning Yu broke through the limit, and his cultivation advanced from the late stage Heaven Monarch realm to the peak stage of Heaven Monarch realm. I can't believe it. Seeing Ning Yu break through easily, Lin Lang could not help but curse. He had worked hard to advance to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. Ning Yu, on the other hand, in no time, his cultivation soared to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. According to this trend, it would not be long before Ning Yu could break through to the half-step Immortal King realm, or even the Immortal King realm. Is he really not from the Immortal Lyceum? At the same time, Lin Lang felt very doubtful. Logically speaking, the density of the immortal chi outside the Immortal Lyceum, resources, and a series of conditions were completely unable to raise a peerless genius like Ning Yu. Lin Lang suspected that Ning Yu was most likely from the Immortal Lyceum and was a native of the Immortal Lyceum. No, I have to trick him to the Immortal Lyceum. Lin Lang's eyes turned, and he was secretly thinking of countermeasures. Ningyu's talent, strength, and all aspects were very strong. He was going to the Immortal Lyceum to do something, and if he had Ningyu's help, the success rate would be very high. Once that thing was done, he could almost easily advance to the half-step Immortal King Realm or the Immortal King Realm. Ningyu, your strength has reached a bottleneck, and it will be very difficult to improve. Why don't you go to the Immortal Lyceum with me? Lin Lang persuaded. Shua. Ning Yu shook his wrist and took out the two-world stone. It's okay. My strength hasn't reached a bottleneck. With the two-world stone, I can raise my cultivation to the second stage half-step Immortal King Realm here. Ning Yu shook the two-world stone and said, This, Lin Lang was dumbfounded. He had forgotten about this. Ning Yu had a treasure like the two-world stone. Outside the Immortal Lyceum, he could raise his cultivation to the second stage half-step Immortal King Realm. It's not impossible for me to go to the Immortal Lyceum. Just as Lin Lang was feeling melancholic, Ningyu patted his shoulder and said, You have to promise me that after we enter the Immortal Lyceum, you will unconditionally provide me with resources to advance to the half-step Immortal King Realm. You are robbing me, Lin Lang shouted without hesitation. Provide resources to advance to the half-step Immortal King Realm? Lin Lang wasn't that stupid. Given Ningyu's talent, the resources he would need to advance to the half-step Immortal King Realm would probably be twice or even 10 times more than others. The matter he was going to do was to enter the secret realm controlled by Tai Muyu. He still wanted to use the resources in the secret realm to advance to the half-step Immortal King Realm. If he gave all of them to Ningyu, what would he use to advance? If you can't do it, then forget it. I won't force you. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, since he had to make a trip to the Immortal Lyceum sooner or later, rather than going in silently, he might as well extort some benefits. After all, Lin Lang's status in the Immortal Lyceum was definitely not low. Who knows? What if Lin Lang also came from some immortal country? Actually, Ningyu's guess was right. Lin Lang did come from some immortal country. Dushita was the imperial preceptor of the Soaring Sky Immortal Country, while Lin Lang was the prince of the Divine Wood Immortal Country. Even though the Divine Wood Immortal Country and the Soaring Sky Immortal Country were both immortal countries, the difference between the two was huge. The countries in the Immortal Lyceum were divided into 4 grades. In a low-grade immortal country, the strongest experts were at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch Realm or below. In a mid-grade immortal country, the strongest experts were mostly at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King Realm or half-step Immortal King Realm. In a high-grade immortal country, the strongest experts were between the 1st and 5th stage half-step Immortal King Realm. Super Immortal Country. Only when a country had a true Immortal King expert could it be called a Super Immortal Country. The Soaring Sky Immortal Country that Dushita came from was a mid-grade immortal country. The strongest experts were at the peak of the half-step Immortal King Realm. As for the Divine Wood Immortal Country that Lin Lang came from, it was a high-grade immortal country. The strongest experts were at the 5th stage half-step Immortal King Realm. Ningyu, I can give you half of the benefits. Lin Lang gritted his teeth and said, After entering the Immortal Lyceum, I will go to a secret realm. That secret realm is located in the Soaring Sky Immortal Country. As long as you work together with me, I promise to give you half of the benefits. Swish. Ning, you did not reply Lin Lang. Instead, he turned and looked at him. After a while, only then did Ningyu say, 73. I'll take 70, and you take 30. Isn't that too much? Lin Lang said unhappily. No matter what, it should be 50-50. 82, Ningyu said indifferently. Fine. 73 it is. Lin Lang hurriedly said. Actually, Lin Lang was not a fool. Ningyu's proposal of 73 wasn't without reason. After all, Ningyu was very strong. Without Ningyu, it was basically impossible for him to obtain any benefits from the secret realm. Chapter 2365. Dushita, I'll give you a chance to live. Ning, you didn't pester Dushita anymore since he had already discussed the conditions with Lin Lang. He came to Dushita and said, "Open your mind and let me control you." No problem. Dushita had already expected this result. He closed his eyes and completely opened his mind. Sho! Ning, you didn't waste any time. A soul force swept out and entered Dushita's mind. Boom! The additional soul force in his mind caused Dushita's expression to turn a little unsightly. He knew that from now on he would be under Ningyu's control. He would only live if Ningyu let him live. If Ningyu let him die, he would die without a doubt. Seeing that Ningyu had taken control of Dushita, Lin Lang hastily said, "Ningyu, in my opinion, we should go to the immortal court now. I'm afraid that the secret domain might be taken by someone else if we delay any longer." Taken by someone else? Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "Don't think I don't know. Since you dared to leave the immortal court to search for the Mother Spring, it means that the conditions to open the secret domain are extremely harsh. At the very least, there must be a Mother Spring. Now that the Mother Spring has been devoured by me, what will you use to open the secret domain?" Lin Lang didn't expect Ningyu's guess to be so accurate. He was momentarily embarrassed. However, Lin Lang quickly adjusted his state of mind and said, "There are two conditions to open the secret domain. First is the Mother Spring. Second is the cultivation of a level 1 half-step immortal king." As he spoke, Lin Lang's gaze shifted to Dushita. The secret domain was within the Heavenly Empire. As long as Heavenly Empire had a level 1 half-step immortal king, they could easily open the secret domain. "Don't look at me." Dushita waved his hand. "The strongest expert of Heavenly Empire is at the peak of half-step immortal king. Without the Mother Spring, he won't be able to get close to the secret domain." All right. Lin Lang knew that he couldn't fool Ningyu, so he asked, "If you don't go to the immortal court now, where are we going?" "Kacha!" As soon as Lin Lang said that, the void trembled. Then, an illusory figure appeared. "You killed the North Garrison King?" The illusory figure looked at Ningyu coldly and said in a deep voice, "You are only at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm, yet you can kill the North Garrison King, who is at the second stage of the half-step Immortal King realm. I have to say that you really surprised me." Demon Emperor. Ningyu did not have much of a reaction. Dushita exclaimed, "Weren't you at the Heavenly Demon Camp? How did you get here?" "You know me?" The illusory figure raised an eyebrow and said, "I don't want to start a massacre today. Here are 3 demon stones. As long as the 3 of you are willing to join the sky demons, I will spare your lives." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All of a sudden, 3 demonic stones flew out and headed straight for Ningyu and Dushita. Kill! How could Ningyu let the devil's stone fly towards him? He gripped the red demon's sword in his hand and suddenly slashed out. Ka ka ka! Instantly, the 3 devil stones were cut into pieces. "You're courting death!" Seeing the devil stones shatter, the illusory figure, which was the demon emperor, suddenly rushed out and punched at Ningyu. Ding! In the blink of an eye, the red demon's sword and the demon emperor's fist collided. The 2 collided. Ningyu stood where he was without moving, while the demon emperor retreated several feet before he could stabilize his body. It was obvious. Without using the 2-world stone, even the demon emperor could only unleash the strength of a peak half-step immortal king. No, to be precise, it was the demon emperor's clone. The demon emperor's original body was at the immortal king level. When he sensed that the North Garrison King had been killed, he sent his closest clone over. Who would have thought? The strength that Ningyu displayed was far beyond his imagination. His clone strength was at the second stage half-step Immortal King level. However, even the cleverest housewife can't cook without rice. Even if his clone strength was at the second stage half-step Immortal King level, He only had 1 2-world stone on him, so he couldn't unleash his peak combat power. I'll give you one last chance. The Demon Emperor's clone's eyes flickered, and he said coldly, "Surrender or die." "I'm sorry, I'll also give you a choice," Ningyu shrugged and said, "Either I kill you or you kill yourself." Arrogant, the Demon Emperor's clone roared angrily and immediately activated the 2-world stone. Boom! As soon as the 2-world stone was activated, the aura of the Demon Emperor's clone soared to the first stage, half-step, Immortal King level. "Step back," Ningyu first ordered Lin Lang and Du Shida. Then he took a step forward and said to the Demon Emperor in a deep voice, "If you want to kill me, it depends on whether you have the ability or not." Rumble. While they were talking, Ningyu's aura suddenly surged out. At the same time, Ningyu also activated a 2-world stone. Before swallowing the iron wooden fish, Ningyu's overall strength was around the peak of the first stage half-step Immortal King level. But after swallowing the iron wooden fish, Ningyu's strength had soared to the first stage half-step Immortal King level. They were both half-step Immortal Kings. There was no reason for Ningyu to be afraid of the Demon Emperor's clone. Die. The Demon Emperor's clone originally planned to use the Demon Stone to demonize Ningyu. However, seeing Ningyu's arrogance, he immediately changed his mind. He decided to kill Ningyu by force. A great battle. The battle was imminent. Ningyu and the Demon Emperor were fighting fiercely in midair. Should we go and help? In the distance, Du Shida looked at the 2 people fighting fiercely in midair and said hesitantly. In fact, Du Shida did not want to help Ningyu. After all, his cultivation was only half-step Immortal King level. Even if he went to help, he would not be of much help. However, Du Shida knew that he had to mention it. Otherwise, once Ningyu killed the Demon Emperor's clone, his fate would be very miserable. Go, of course I have to go and help. Lin Lang also knew what Du Shida was thinking. He waved his hand and said, "You go and help Ningyu first. I will hold the line for you." Du Shida's face was full of black lines. He was just saying that. If he really asked him to help Ningyu, it would be no different from killing him. Don't worry, Ningyu will win. Lin Lang patted Du Shida on his shoulder as he spoke. What you need to do now is to think of a way to contact the people from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire and get them to seal the secret realm. Before we head over there, don't let anyone near. Understood. Du Shida hurriedly nodded. Ning, you had already reached an agreement with Lin Lang to explore the secret realm together. At this time, Lin Lang's words were Ningyu's words. Kacha! With a flick of his wrist, Du Shida took out a crystal ball, muttered a few words, and suddenly crushed it. The shattering of the crystal ball meant that someone in the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom had received the news. Rumble. Just as Du Shida sent the news back, in the distant sky, the battle between Ningyu and the Demon Emperor's clone had reached a critical juncture. I admit, I underestimated you. Chapter 2366. Hee, you want to kill me? It's not that simple. In the face of the Demon Emperor's clone's cold words, Ningyu smiled and said, "Although your strength is at the 2nd level of half a step to Immortal King, you only have 1 2-world stone, so you can only exert the strength of a 1st level half a step to Immortal King." Humph. Even if I can only exert the strength of a 1st level half a step to Immortal King, killing you is as easy as killing a dog. The Demon Emperor's clone snorted coldly, and then energy burst out under his feet, and his body rushed out rapidly. Almost in an instant, the Demon Emperor's clone arrived in front of Ningyu. Rumble. There was no hesitation. The Demon Emperor's clone immediately punched at Ningyu's head. This punch was extremely powerful and heavy, and its power was extremely great. If Ningyu was unfortunate enough to be hit, he would probably lose a layer of skin even if he didn't die. Bang! It was a critical moment. Ningyu didn't choose to dodge, but instead punched out with a backhand. The two fists collided. Ningyu and the Demon Emperor's clone retreated a few steps at the same time. Looking at this attack alone, Ningyu and the Demon Emperor's clone were completely evenly matched. But as the person involved, the Demon Emperor's clone knew better than anyone that he was actually at a disadvantage. There was no other reason. That move just now had consumed half of his energy, and he needed at least 3 minutes to replenish his energy. On the other hand, Ningyu, the energy in his body had already been completely replenished, and he was back to his peak state. How could he fight like this? Originally, he and Ningyu were evenly matched in strength, and neither of them could do anything to the other. However, the speed at which Ningyu replenished his energy was really terrifying. If this continued, it probably wouldn't be long before he was killed by Ningyu. I have to think of a way. The Demon Emperor's clone was not a hothead. He immediately moved, turned his head, and rushed towards Linlang and Dushita. Ningyu was strong and recovered quickly, so he knew that he was no match for him. But Linlang and Dushita were different. Dushita was at the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm, and Linlang was even weaker, only at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. He couldn't beat Ningyu, but that didn't mean he couldn't beat Linlang and Dushita. As long as he could take down Linlang and Dushita, then Ningyu would definitely refrain from taking action. At that time, wasn't he able to easily control Ningyu? It had to be said, dreams were plentiful, but reality was harsh. Whoosh! Before the Demon Emperor's avatar could reach Linlang and Dushita, Ningyu gripped the red demon's sword, tore through the void, and stood in front of him. Kill. There was nothing fancy about it. Ningyu channeled all the energy in his body into the red demon's sword and slashed out. Damn it! The Demon Emperor's avatar couldn't help but curse. Originally, he was already close to Linlang and Dushita. If he was given another second, he could easily take down Linlang and Dushita. Unexpectedly, Ningyu charged out and used a killing technique on him. Go! The Demon Emperor's avatar wasn't an indecisive person. He knew that if he continued to fight with Ningyu, he would definitely be the one who would be defeated. Therefore, he didn't think too much and immediately tore through the void. Where there's life, there's hope. Although this was only an avatar, if the avatar was killed, the main body would more or less be affected. The Demon Emperor didn't want the death of his avatar to affect the cultivation of his main body. Ka. The Demon Emperor's avatar entered the void, but the sword light that Ningyu slashed out followed closely and entered the void. Rumble. The next moment, there was an earth-shattering rumbling sound in the void. Bang! Not long after, a figure came out of the void and fell heavily to the ground. The Demon Emperor's avatar. This figure was none other than the Demon Emperor's avatar. Pucci. The Demon Emperor's avatar spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face became extremely pale. The mountains will never change, and the rivers will always flow. We'll meet again. The Demon Emperor's avatar knew that there was no hope of escaping, so he scolded Ningyu coldly, and then his body gradually expanded. Obviously, the Demon Emperor planned to abandon this avatar. However, even if he abandoned this avatar, the Demon Emperor didn't plan to let Ningyu have an easy time. He made his body expand, and his purpose was to self-destruct. The self-destruction of a half-step Celestial King's avatar could at least kill a martial artist of the same level. Unless Ningyu's strength could be raised to the level of a half-step Celestial King, it would be very difficult for him to resist the self-destruction of the Demon Emperor's avatar. You want to self-destruct. Seeing the Demon Emperor's avatar's action, Ningyu didn't choose to dodge. Instead, he stomped his feet and his body rushed out. There was only one way to stop the Demon Emperor's avatar from self-destructing, and that was to kill him with a fatal blow before his body expanded to its limit. After all, a dead person couldn't self-destruct. Ningyu's speed was very fast, so fast that it was terrifying. The Demon Emperor's avatar's body had just begun to expand when Ningyu arrived in front of him, clenched his right hand into a fist, and punched out. Bang! Ningyu's punch directly hit the Demon Emperor's avatar's head. Instantly, the Demon Emperor's avatar's head exploded, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Hiss! The Demon Emperor's avatar's miserable state made Dushita, who was far away, suck in a breath of cold air. Fortunately, he had surrendered to Ningyu. Otherwise, the Demon Emperor's avatar's fate would be the same as his. Swoosh! After killing the Demon Emperor's avatar, Ningyu didn't stay idle. He flew to the Demon Emperor's side, placed his right hand on the Demon Emperor's shoulder, and began to devour the Demon Emperor's energy. The Demon Emperor's avatar's head had exploded, but the energy in his body was still intact. After devouring the Demon Emperor's energy, Ningyu was confident that he could raise his strength a little more. Even if he couldn't raise his strength to the second stage of half-step Immortal King, he could still raise his strength to the fifth stage of half-step Immortal King. Boom! Previously, it only took Ningyu a few seconds to devour the ironwood fish, but now it took him a few minutes to devour the Demon Emperor's avatar. However, the effect was unusually remarkable. Before devouring the Demon Emperor's avatar, Ningyu's cultivation was at the peak of Heavenly Monarch. After devouring the Demon Emperor's avatar, although Ningyu's cultivation did not advance to the half-step Immortal King realm, he had reached the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, which was the same as Tai Feng and Du Shibing. Indeed, it's a fifth-stage half-step Immortal King. After casually sensing the density of the energy in his body, Ningyu nodded in satisfaction. Pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm cultivation. A fifth-stage half-step Immortal King realm strength. It seemed like the Heavenly Demon was his lucky star. Every time he encountered the Heavenly Demon, his strength would increase to different degrees. Ningyu, we have to go to the Immortal Court as soon as possible. At this time, Lin Lang came to Ningyu's side and said in a low voice, "You killed the Demon Emperor's clone. If nothing unexpected happens, it won't be long before the Demon Emperor sends the other 3 monarchs to look for you. I admit that you're very strong, but against 3 monarchs, it won't be long before the Demon Emperor sends the other 3 monarchs. You have almost no room to fight back." I have a question. Ningyu did not directly agree to Lin Lang, but asked, "When I go to the Immortal Court, can I bring Dark Emperor and Ning Lu?" This, Lin Lang hesitated. Chapter 2367. I see. Ningyu fell into deep thought. He did have a Celestial Dynasty token, but Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Water Moon Fairy, and the others didn't. Since the Red Fiend was a sword spirit, he only needed to fuse with the Red Fiend sword. There was no need for the token. But the Dark Emperor and Ning Lu were different. If they wanted to enter the Immortal Court, they needed an Immortal Court token. As for the others in the Red Demon Sword, such as Bai Zhanfei and Zhao Rui, Ningyu did not plan to let them enter the Immortal Court. Their cultivation was weaker, so even if they entered the Immortal Court, it would be hard for them to gain a foothold. He might as well stay in the Brilliant Void Weave or the Violet Orchid Weave. Actually, you don't have to worry. As if he knew what Ningyu was thinking, Lin Lang said, "There is a buffer city between the Immortal Court and this continent. We call it Broken Cliff City. If you want the token of the Immortal Court, you can buy it from Broken Cliff City. You can do that." Ningyu's mouth was slightly agape, and his face was full of surprise. For the sake of an Immortal Court token, the people outside fought to the death. But according to what Lin Lang said, one only needed to spend a certain amount of money in Broken Cliff City to be able to purchase a command token. It's not that simple, Dushita explained. Although the Immortal Court token can be bought, the price is very high. Some people even offer 2 world stones for one. 2 for 1? Ningyu thought about it and said, "That's a good deal." "Not worth it at all," Dushita said hurriedly. "The 2 world stone is a hard currency in the Immortal Court. Everything in the Immortal Court is traded through the 2 world stone. Without the 2 world stone, you won't be able to do anything. All right, let's go back to Violet Orchid City first. 3 days later, we'll go to Cliff City. Ning Yu did not choose to waste time. He had to go to Steep Cliff City. It wasn't because he was afraid of the Demon Emperor, but because he felt that with the Demon Emperor's abilities, he would definitely be able to find his parents. Back then, he had wanted to go to the evil spirit battlefield, so he had left his parents in Stellar Sky City. No matter what, he had to bring his parents along with him to the Immortal Court. Why, 3 days later, Lin Lang was puzzled. Logically speaking, it would be better to get to Cliff City as soon as possible. Who knew if the Demon Emperor would send people to attack if he was a step late? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Ning Yu rolled his eyes at Lin Lang, then stomped his feet on the ground and dashed out. The reason why Ning Yu wanted to go to the Violet Orchid Weave was because he wanted to keep the Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, and Zhao Rui here. After all, he had killed the Devil Thearka's clone. He might even be pursued by the Deviled Arch when he fetched his parents from Stellar Sky City. Rather than being wiped out by the Demon Emperor, it was better to leave the Dark Emperor and the others behind. All right. Although Lin Lang really wanted to go to Broken Cliff City and then enter the Immortal Court, he knew very well that without Ning Yu following him, it would be useless even if he entered the Immortal Court. Swish, swish, swish. Next, Ning Yu, Lin Lang, Dushita, the three of them were extremely fast, and it didn't take long for them to arrive at Zilon City. It was just as they had planned. Ning Yu left the Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, Zhao Rui, Rong Hao, and the two-legged demonic beast in Zilon City. As for him, he took the Heavenly Devil Pagoda, the Sky-Connecting Disc, and the Red Devil Sword, and hurried on his way. Zilon City wasn't very far from Stellar Sky City. In addition, Ning Yu had advanced to the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, so it only took him a few hours to reach Stellar Sky City. After arriving at Stellar Sky City, Ning Yu didn't show up with great fanfare. Instead, he informed the leaders of Stellar Sky City, and then he put his parents into the Red Devil Sword and took them away. Swish! After spending another few hours, Ning Yu brought his parents back to Zilon City. As soon as he returned to Zilon City, Ning Yu couldn't help but curse. There was no other reason. In front of Zilon City's main gate, several figures stood side by side. The ones at the front were none other than Lin Lang and Dushita. Behind them, Rong Hao, the Dark Emperor, the two-horned demonic beast, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, and Zhao Rui all had hopeful expressions on their faces. Lin Lang was a big mouth. He had already revealed the news that he would go to the Immortal Court next. And Ning Yu didn't intend to let everyone go. The Dark Emperor and Ning Lu were fine. They had a close relationship with Ning Yu, and Ning Yu would bring them along. As for Fairy Watermoon, she had yet to avenge her parents, so she had to go to the Immortal Court. Zhao Rui knew that if she stayed, it would be very difficult for her to break through to the Heavenly Monarch realm. If she followed Ning Yu, she would be able to break through to the Heavenly Monarch realm very soon. Therefore, everyone had different thoughts, but they all wanted to enter the Immortal Court. "You're here." Seeing that Ning Yu had returned, Lin Lang revealed a joyful expression and hurriedly took a step forward and said, "I have already arranged it for you. Why don't we set off immediately to Broken Cliff City?" "You arranged it, my ass." Ning Yu looked behind Lin Lang and asked, "How many Immortal Court tokens do you have on you?" "1. Lin Lang was confused. He didn't know why Ning Yu asked such a stupid question. "Prepare 6 Immortal Court tokens for me," Ning Yu said directly. The Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, Zhao Rui, his father Ning Hai, and his mother Du Yunshan. These were the people Ning Yu planned to bring along. Apart from him, a total of 6 Immortal Court tokens were needed. Without the tokens, what was the point of going to Broken Cliff City? He only had 3 two-world stones on him, including the one from the Demon Emperor's clone. 3 two-world stones. At most he could exchange for 2 tokens. there were still 4 missing pieces. Without tokens, it was useless no matter how many people went. Robbery, Lin Lang roared. As for the tokens, can we think of a way when we get to Broken Cliff City? I still have 3 extra tokens. Rong Hao took out 3 command medallions from his robes and passed them to Ningyu. However, these 3 medallions are the same as the one you have. When you use the teleportation array, you will be sent to the immortal empire I'm from. The distance to the soaring sky immortal empire is extremely far. Many thanks. Ning, you didn't stand on ceremony with Rong Hao and accepted the tokens. Since he had 3 tokens, he only needed to find 3 more. You think of a way to get the remaining 3 tokens. Ningyu said to Lin Lang, then turned and said, Dark Emperor Ning Lu, Fairy Water Moon, Zhao Rui, follow me to Broken Cliff City. The rest will stay in Violet Orchid City for now. When there's a chance, I will personally come back to pick you up. Hearing Ningyu's words, Bai Zhanfei and the rest showed a look of disappointment. But even though they were disappointed, they had no other choice. After all, the Immortal Court tokens were extremely precious. With their strength, it was almost impossible to get them. Let's go as soon as possible. After giving the instructions, Ningyu said loudly, Whoosh! However, Ning, you hadn't even finished speaking when the space in the distance trembled, and then a few figures descended from the sky. The sudden appearance of so many martial artists made Ningyu's expression change slightly. But that was it, because these people's cultivation was not particularly strong. The strongest was an old man with a walking stick. His cultivation was around the peak of Heaven Monarch, similar to Rong Hao. As for the rest of the martial artists, their cultivation ranged from early stage Heaven Monarch to late stage Heaven Monarch. Chapter 2368. Haha, Rong Hao, it's been a few days. I didn't expect you to find so many qualified martial artists. The old man with the crutch looked at Ningyu and Lin Lang. Then he turned to Rong Hao and said with a faint smile, It seems that you what? However, before the old man could finish his words, his face was full of surprise. You. How is that possible? The old man with the crutch was extremely shocked, because he found that Rong Hao's cultivation had soared to the peak of Heaven Monarch. How long had it been? He remembered clearly that Rong Hao was only at the mid-stage of Heaven Monarch when they met in Broken Cliff City. Since his celestial kingdom was close to Rong Hao's, he and Rong Hao had an agreement to meet in Broken Cliff City and enter the celestial court together. This time he passed by Purple Orchid City and wanted to stop for a while, but he didn't expect to meet Rong Hao. What was more exaggerated was that Rong Hao had reached the peak of Heaven Monarch, which was the same cultivation as him. Golden Snake Lord. Rong Hao looked behind the old man and said, You're not bad yourself. You actually found 10 qualified martial artists. The Omping Celestial Kingdom doesn't have to take risks in the next few decades. Tell me, how did you cultivate to the peak of Heaven Monarch? Golden Snake Lord obviously didn't want to talk too much with Rong Hao. His aura suddenly burst out and pressed down on Rong Hao crazily. He said coldly, In such a short time, you advanced from the middle stage of the Heaven Monarch realm to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. Even in the high-grade immortal kingdoms, few people can do this. Rong Hao rolled his eyes and said, Why should I tell you? Humph. You have to tell me today. Golden Snake Lord snorted and took a step forward. His aura soared again. Crack, crack, crack. Although Rong Hao had reached the peak of Heaven Monarch, he was still at an absolute disadvantage in the confrontation with Golden Snake Lord's aura. Cracking sounds came from Rong Hao's knees, which meant that he couldn't hold on any longer. Enough. Right at this moment, Ning Yu's face turned cold, and he said in a deep voice, We welcome you to go to Broken Cliff City with us at any time. But if you want to make trouble, we're not afraid. Swish. While Ningyu was speaking, a cold light suddenly swept out of his sleeve and shot toward Golden Snake Lord. Not good. Golden Snake Lord's expression changed drastically when he saw the cold light shooting toward him. Without any time to think, he immediately retreated. Poochie! Even though Golden Snake Lord retreated quickly, he was still unable to withstand the impact of the cold light. The cold glint struck his chest. The enormous force caused him to spit out a large mouthful of fresh blood. Aura! He instantly dropped from the peak stage of Heaven Monarch to the early stage of Heaven Monarch. Under such circumstances, let alone Golden Snake Lord and Rong Hao, even an early stage Heaven Monarch martial artist would be able to defeat him easily. Voila! Seeing that Golden Snake King had been defeated, the warriors behind him immediately moved and surrounded Ningyu. Who dares to injure the Golden Snake Monarch? Humph! You're finished. You've offended our tranquil, immortal kingdom. No one in this world can save you. Hurry up and cripple your own cultivation and kneel down obediently. These warriors of the tranquil, immortal kingdom were not stupid. Even someone as strong as Golden Snake Lord had been defeated. It was basically impossible for them to seek revenge. However, Golden Snake Lord was their superior. Since his superior had been defeated so easily, they should at least express their gratitude. Otherwise, once they returned to the tranquil, immortal kingdom, Golden Snake Lord would definitely make things difficult for them. Noisy! Ning, you did not care what these people were thinking. He casually waved his hand, and several cold lights swept out in a split second. Poochie, Poochie, Poochie! The martial artists who were the most arrogant were instantly struck by the cold light and were sent flying. Let's go to Broken Cliff City. Without looking at the fallen warriors of the tranquil, immortal kingdom, Ningyu stepped on the ground and immediately rushed forward. Swish! 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 Behind him, Rong Hao, Lin Lang, Du Shida, and the others hurriedly followed. Damn it! It was not until Ningyu and the others were out of sight that Golden Snake Lord climbed up from the ground with difficulty. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Golden Snake Lord said fiercely, "Since you dared to hurt me, you should be prepared to be killed by me. Let's go. Broken Cliff City is full of crooks and honest folk. It's the best time to strike." Golden Snake Lord waved his hand and was about to set off behind Ningyu and the others. Swish! However, at this moment, the void suddenly split open. 3 figures descended from the sky. Who? Golden Snake Lord's heart skipped a beat when he saw the 3 warriors. He forced himself to calm down and said, "Why are you blocking our way?" "The aura is still here. They should have just left." One of the short-haired warriors sniffed hard and said, looking at the direction, "They're probably going to Broken Cliff City. I'm not sure if we can catch up with them if we chase after them now. It's fine if we catch up with them, but if we can't, Broken Cliff City will not allow us to enter. Don't worry. We can just find someone to take over," another long-haired warrior said. "Leave this peak stage, Heaven Monarch, Realm Martial Artist to me." The last bald warrior pointed at Golden Snake Lord and rushed out with a roar. The long-haired martial artist and the short-haired martial artist looked at each other and immediately rushed towards the other Heaven Monarchs. "Who are you?" "I am the State Preceptor of the Tranquil Celestial Kingdom. If you kill me, you will be hunted down by the Tranquil Celestial Kingdom." Golden Snake Lord's expression changed drastically. He shouted hurriedly, "As long as you don't kill me, I can..." Uft. Before he could finish his words, Golden Snake Lord's eyes widened, and he stood there in a daze. Obviously, the bald warrior had already entered his body and started to take over his body. Uft. Uft. On the other side, the long-haired and short-haired warriors found a late-stage Heaven Monarch, Realm Martial Artist, respectively, and started to take over their bodies. The 3 of them took over the bodies very quickly. It only took a few seconds for Golden Snake Lord and the others to lose consciousness and be forcibly taken over. Run. The rest of the tranquil celestial kingdom martial artists fled in all directions. Even someone as strong as Golden Snake Lord was easily taken over. If they stayed any longer, they would definitely die. After all, these three warriors were different from Ningyu and the others. Ningyu and the others only defeated Golden Snake Lord, but did not kill him. These three warriors, on the other hand, were taking over their bodies, which was no different from killing them. Ha ha ha, in front of us, heavenly devil kings. How can you small fries escape? The bald warrior who took over Golden Snake Lord's body threw back his head and laughed, then waved his hands repeatedly. In an instant, several fist radiants swept out and blasted at these fleeing warriors. Uft, 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 uft. The result was not unexpected. The fleeing tranquil celestial kingdom martial artists were all hit by the fist radiants and fell heavily to the ground. The bald warrior and the others were heavenly devil kings, and their cultivation was between the first and fifth stage of the half-step immortal king realm. Previously, the white-clothed warrior, who was also one of the four great kings, was killed by Ningyu. In addition, Ningyu devoured the devil emperor's clone. Therefore, the devil emperor sent the bald warrior and the others to chase after Ningyu. They followed the aura and chased here, but unfortunately they were a step too late. Go. Chapter 2369. Cliff City. It was located at the periphery of the Immortal Court, a buffer zone between the Immortal Court and this continent. Originally, Broken Cliff City was only an extremely small city, and the various buildings and facilities were not complete. However, as time passed, Broken Cliff City grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it even developed to the level of a colossus. Every city, lord of Broken Cliff City, came from the Immortal Court. Rumors. Broken Cliff City was controlled by a super immortal empire, and all the city lords took orders from the super immortal empire. Of course, this was only a rumor. No one knew whether it was true or not. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the dense forest, for figures sped past. If there were people from Zilon City here, they would definitely discover that these four figures were none other than Ningyu and the others who had left Zilon City not long ago. Ningyu, Ronghao, Linlang, Dushida. As for the others, Ningyu allowed them to enter the Red Demon Sword. Ning, you didn't want any accidents to happen. The cultivation of the Dark Emperor and Ning Lu had not reached the heavenly monarch realm. If he were to encounter danger on the way, and the Demon Emperor sent people to hunt him down, the consequences would be unimaginable. After passing through this forest, we'll be able to reach the buffer zone in about half an hour. Lin Lang pointed at the dense forest ahead and warned. Remember, once you enter the buffer zone, you must conceal your aura. You must not leak your aura, and you must not fly in the sky. Otherwise, you will suffer the attacks of the enforcement team. Law enforcement team? Ningyu was puzzled. Wasn't the buffer zone Steep Cliff City? Why was there a law enforcement team here? As if he knew what Ningyu was thinking. Lin Lang explained, you can understand the buffer zone as a large area. There are a total of 5 cities around it, and Broken Cliff City is located in the middle. It's the largest city. If you want to enter the Immortal Court, it has to be in Cliff City. I see. Ningyu nodded in understanding. Since he had already understood the situation in the buffer zone, it was obviously not wise to stay and rest. It was better to reach the buffer zone first, and then find a city to rest in. Swish, swish, swish. He didn't stop. Ningyu, Ronghao, and the others immediately moved and rushed toward the periphery of the forest. Drip, drip. Ningyu and the others were extremely fast. It should have taken them half an hour, but it only took them 15 minutes to leave the forest. The first thing that came into view was a huge city. Western City. This city was located west of Steep Cliff City, and it was called West City. Compared to Steep Cliff City, West City was much smaller. On foot, Lin Lang restrained his aura and said, when we enter the West City later, you'd better not say anything. Just let Ronghao and I handle it. Ningyu rolled his eyes and didn't say anything. In any case, his mission this time was to go to Cliffside City, and West City was just passing by. He did not plan to do anything to it. However, if there were some rascals who came to cause trouble, he naturally wouldn't back down. Sha sha sha! His feet moved. Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others soon arrived at the entrance of Western City. Halt! As soon as Ningyu and the others arrived at the entrance, they were stopped by two guards. One of the early stage Heaven Monarch guards reached out to Lin Lang and said, "Please show your token." Whoosh! Lin Lang didn't waste any time. He shook his wrist, and a token with the word West appeared in his hand. He handed it to the guard. The early stage Heaven Monarch guard took the token and looked at it, then returned it to Lin Lang and said, "Pass the token. You may enter. Remember, flying in the sky is not allowed in Western City, and you are not allowed to release your aura willfully. Anyone who violates this will be beheaded immediately." Boom! When the guard spoke, he suddenly released his aura, seemingly to intimidate Ningyu and the others. However, the aura of an early stage Heaven Monarch couldn't pose a threat to Ningyu and the others. They kept the token. Ningyu and the others didn't stop and directly entered Western City. Swish! 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 Not long after Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others entered Western City, 3 martial artists rushed over. These 3 martial artists were none other than the 3 kings of the Sky Demon who had possessed Golden Snake Lord. The one who had possessed Golden Snake Lord was the bald Sky Demon. He seemed to know the rules of Western City, and he immediately took out a token and threw it to the guard. Subsequently, without waiting for the guard to exchange the token, he hurriedly entered Western City. The actions of the bald-headed martial artist and the others made the guards a little surprised. The token was very useful in Western City. Without the token, it was hard to move around. Keep it first. The guard thought about it and kept the token. Normally, for a token like this, as long as the other party came back for it, he would have to return it. Otherwise, if the upper echelons of Western City found out, he would have to bear the consequences. At the same time, on the streets of Western City, Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others were walking side by side. Let's go to the black market first and see if we can buy an Immortal Court token. Lin Lang was concerned about the Immortal Court token, so he directly suggested, "There are black markets in the 4 major cities. If we are lucky, we should be able to buy an Immortal Court token there." Actually, Lin Lang had no other choice. After all, Ningyu had previously said that he wanted him to find 3 Immortal Court tokens. In order to get Ningyu to follow him to the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom Mystic Realm, he was going all out. With his foundation, he might be able to exchange for 3 tokens. Lin Lang had obviously been to the black market before. He brought Ningyu and Dushida to the left and right. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of the black market. The entrance of the black market was secluded. From the outside, no one could be sure. This was because the entrance was located in an alley. The alley was spacious, and there was nothing there. Swish! Lin Lang waved his hands and tore a hole in the void. "Let's go!" Moving his feet, Lin Lang was the first to enter the gap. Ningyu did not hesitate. He followed closely and entered the hole together with Dushida and Rong Hao. Chi-chi! Just as Ningyu and the others entered the hole closed. Black! The first feeling that Ningyu had when he entered the black market was darkness. Pitch black! The second feeling. It was pitch black. Bang! However, this pitch black feeling did not last for long. The entire area suddenly lit up. Ningyu discovered that he was currently in a narrow passageway. There were many crystals hanging on the walls of the passageway. These crystals were extremely ordinary and were only used to illuminate the passageway. Are we going to walk like this? Ningyu was puzzled. Ningyu's perception was very strong. According to his observation, the passageway in front of him was very long. At the very least, if he walked at a normal speed, he he would need at least a few hours to pass through. Obviously, Ning, you did not want to wait for a few hours. After all, the passageway was narrow and long. If he encountered any danger inside, it would not be worth it. No need. Lin Lang stretched out his hands and clapped. Clap, clap. As Lin Lang clapped, the passageway in front of him suddenly changed. The originally narrow passageway gradually moved towards the middle. 10 seconds passed. Chapter 2370. Creak. Not long after the door appeared, it was pushed open from the inside. Immediately after, a young man dressed in black slowly walked out from inside. Pseudo half-step Immortal King. Ning Yu's expression turned solemn when he sensed the aura emitted by the man in black. He could tell the man in black was only a watchman of the black market. To put it simply, he was a manservant. Even an attendant at the door possessed a strength at the pseudo half-step Immortal King realm, so it was obvious how strict the security within was. Anyone who tried to cause trouble inside would definitely be punished. 4 people, 1 2-world stone in total. The man in black did not beat around the bush. He looked at Ning Yu, Lin Lang, and the rest, and said directly. Ning Yu was slightly startled. Why did they need to pay the 2-world stone to enter the black market? Here. Lin Lang flicked his wrist and took out a 2-world stone and handed it to the man in black. The black-robed man took the 2-world stone and weighed it in his hand. Then he tossed 4 tokens to Lin Lang and moved to the side. Go in. Remember to make a ruckus in the black market. Otherwise, you will be expelled. We understand. Lin Lang nodded and hurriedly pulled Ning Yu towards the black market. It was no wonder that Lin Lang was anxious. He was afraid that if he was late, Ning Yu would look for him. After all, he had a few 2-world stones. If Ning Yu snatched them away, it would not be worth it. As long as they entered the black market, no matter how strong Ning Yu was, he would not dare to do anything to him. One had to admit that Lin Lang was overthinking. As soon as they entered the black market, Ning Yu turned and said, Hand over the 2-world stone. Lin Lang revealed a bitter expression and said, I only have 1 2-world stone. I gave it to the man in black just now. You don't want to hand it over? The corner of Ning Yu's lips curled up. Sky Expanse Immortal Kingdom's secret domain. I might fine. I'll give it to you, okay? Lin Lang instantly admitted defeat. He fished out an interspatial ring from his bosom and casually threw it to Ning Yu. Pa! Taking the spatial ring, Ning Yu released his perception and probed it a little. Then he nodded in satisfaction. That's more like it. There were a total of 6 2-world stones in the spatial ring, according to the price of 2 2-realm stones for an Immortal Court token. Lin Lang's 2 realm stones were enough to exchange for 3 Immortal Court tokens. With just 3 Immortal Court tokens, Ning Yu's plan would be complete, and he could head straight to the entrance of the Immortal Court. After accepting the 2-world stone, Ning Yu started to look around. Ning Yu found himself on a bustling street. On both sides of the street, there were all kinds of stalls. Some were selling pills, some were selling treasures, and some were even selling demonic beasts. In short, there were all kinds of them. Sha, sha, sha. At this moment, a middle-aged man in blue clothes appeared in front of Ning Yu and the others. You can look for me if you need anything. I'm called Detective Bao. I know everything. The middle-aged man went straight to the point without beating around the bush. With me around, you don't have to worry about being ripped off or being robbed. Boom! As he spoke, Detective Bao released his aura, slightly suppressing Ning Yu. Peak half-step Immortal King. Ning Yu's expression did not change much. Not to mention Detective Bao was a peak half-step Immortal King. Even if it was a grade 1 half-step Immortal King, he would not be afraid. What benefits do you want? Ning Yu asked calmly. He 1 2-world stone. Detective Bao chuckled and said, Not only can I provide all of you with information, I'll even be responsible for your safety. A single two-world stone isn't expensive. After all, you've hired a peak half-step immortal king on your own. You should know that you need one two-world stone to hire a peak half-step immortal king. It's not expensive. Ning Yu did not bargain. Instead, he casually threw a two-world stone to Detective Bao. This was the black market. Having someone to guide them would save them a lot of trouble. Someone fell for it again. This is the third group of people today, right? That's right. The first two groups probably met a miserable end. Let's not get involved. Detective Bao has a backer. Offending him will not end well. How sharp was Ning Yu's perception? Lin Lang and Du Shida might not have heard the discussion of these people, but Ning Yu heard it clearly. From the conversation of these people, Ning Yu could basically conclude that Detective Bao was up to no good, just as he had guessed. However, Ning Yu did not care. Even if Detective Bao was up to no good, it would not affect him too much. He paid Detective Bao a two-world stone, and Detective Bao had to explain some information to him. The black market is a space opened up by the West City's city lord. After accepting the two-world stone, Detective Bao did not waste any time and explained the origin of the black market to Ning Yu and the rest. In the beginning, there was no black market in West City. In other words, apart from Broken Cliff City, none of the other 4 cities had black markets. It seemed that this was not beneficial to West City's development. Therefore, not long after, the city lord of West City personally joined forces with the many experts in West City to open up this black market. On the surface, the black market seemed to be rather narrow and not very big. However, the real black market was extremely huge. Some areas required a two-world stone to enter, the token that the man at the entrance of the black market had given to Ning Yu, and the rest only allowed them to pass through certain areas. Of course, Ning Yu did not want to go too deep. His goal was to exchange for an immortal court token. He did not think about anything else for the time being. Two-world shop. Detective Bao seemed to know what Ning Yu was thinking. After introducing the black market, he began to recommend the two-world shop. As the name suggested, as long as one had a two-world stone, one could exchange for anything in the two-world shop. If you have any needs, you can go to the two-world shop. Detective Bao said, "The owner of the two-world shop is very close to me. I can give you a 20% discount if you want to buy something. Let's go to the two-world shop first." Ning Yu waved his hand and said, "Different situations call for different actions." Since the two-world shop had 2 world stones, Ning Yu did not want to waste too much time. All right. Detective Bao looked delighted and hurriedly led the way. The two-world shop was not very far from Ning Yu and the rest. Under Detective Bao's lead, they arrived at the main entrance of the two-world shop in a short 3 to 4 minutes. "Get your boss out here. We have a big business coming," Detective Bao shouted as soon as they entered the two-world shop. Hee, I was wondering who it was. So it's Detective Bao. As soon as the Inquirer Bao's voice died away, a chuckle came from the two-world shop. Then, an old man walked out slowly. First stage half-step Immortal King. Seeing the old man, Ning Yu's expression changed slightly. The old man's cultivation was much higher than Detective Bao's. Chapter 2371. Elder Zhao, don't play dumb with me. These are my friends, and they want to shop here. I hope you can give them a 20% discount for my sake. Investigator Bao waved his hand casually and said, "Also, don't use those fake things to fool people. I've received their benefits, so I have to work for them. Don't worry. The Two Realm store has been in the black market for so long, which means that we are honest." The old man called Elder Zhao waved his hand and looked at Dushida asking, "What do you need?" "As long as the Two Realm store has it, we will give you a 20% discount." In Elder Zhao's opinion, Ning Yu's cultivation was only at the pseudo-half-step immortal king realm, while Lin Lang and Rong Hao were only at the peak of Lord of Heaven. Among the four of them, only Du Shida's cultivation had reached the peak of half-step immortal king realm. Elder Zhao thought that he had a clear view of which was more important. Being questioned by Elder Zhao, Du Shida first looked at Ningyu and then said, "Give us a few Immortal Lyceum tokens." "Okay," Elder Zhao answered, then turned around and walked towards the inner area of the Two Realms store. Not long after, Elder Zhao came out with 4 or 5 Immortal Lyceum tokens. Ding, ding, ding. Throwing the tokens on the table, Elder Zhao explained, "These Immortal Lyceum tokens have only recently come out from the Immortal Lyceum. If you need them, I will give you a 20% discount. 2 Two-Realm stones for 1. Du Shida didn't answer Elder Zhao immediately, but picked up an Immortal Lyceum token from the table and observed it carefully. Rong Hao and Lin Lang also stepped forward and began to check the token. It was related to whether the Dark Emperor and the others could enter the Immortal Lyceum. Such a big thing had to be checked carefully. After a while, Lin Lang, Rong Hao, and Du Shida shook their heads at Ningyu at the same time. "There's something wrong with the token?" Ningyu frowned slightly. Actually, 2 Two-Realm stones for an Immortal Lyceum token was expensive, but it was still within an acceptable range for Ningyu. But if the token was fake, then Ningyu would have to talk to Elder Zhao. "It's not that there's a problem with the tokens. These tokens all belong to the countries at the border of the Immortal Court. Once you enter the Immortal Court with these tokens, you'll most likely be teleported to the border." Lin Lang explained, "The border of the Immortal Court is extremely dangerous. Even a true Immortal King wouldn't dare to say that he would have a 100% chance of survival." "Then why are there still countries?" Ningyu was puzzled. Logically speaking, in a place where even celestial kings could not survive, there was no reason for a country to exist. "Those countries only exist in name." Lin Lang continued, "There's a rule in the Immortal Court. As long as a super immortal kingdom hasn't cancelled a small country, the Immortal Court token of that small country will always be useful." "I see." Ningyu nodded in understanding. After thinking about it, Ningyu turned to old Zhao and spoke, "Give me a few medallions from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire or a country that is closer to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire." Whoosh! Old Zhao's expression changed slightly. Although the strongest expert in the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire was a peak half-step Immortal King, and he was only a first-stage half-step Immortal King, it was basically impossible for him to obtain a token from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. For some unknown reason, recently the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire's token had become extremely popular. The other tokens could be exchanged for 2 Two-World stones, and the better ones could only be exchanged for 5 Two-World stones. However, the price of the 2 World stones of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire was ridiculously high. In some places, the price had even risen to 10 Two World stones for 1. Moreover, there was no market for it. Old Zhao's expression was gloomy. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Follow me. I still have a token from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire." "Sha, sha, sha." After saying that, Old Zhao did not wait for Ningyu's reaction and directly walked into the inner room. This time, even Inquirer Bao had a solemn expression as he hurriedly stood up and followed Old Zhao into the inner room. Ningyu and Lin Lang exchanged a glance. They could see the doubt in each other's eyes. Could it be that something happened to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire? Why did Old Zhao and Inquirer Bao's expressions change so quickly when they heard the words Soaring Sky Immortal Empire? Du Shida, could it be that the ancestor of your Soaring Sky Immortal Empire has revived? Lin Lang involuntarily glanced at Du Shida. Back then, the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire was a supreme empire. But because of the war with the Ironwood clan many years ago, the immortal kings of the empire were heavily injured. It was unknown whether they were still alive or not. At this moment, the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire fell from a supreme empire to a mid-tier one. Now, The reactions of Inquirer Bao and Old Zhao clearly indicated that something had happened to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. He didn't revive? Dushita also felt a little puzzled. When he left the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire, the strongest expert of the empire was the same as him, a peak stage half-step Immortal King. One of the main reasons why he left the empire was because he wanted to find the mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring and open the secret realm, allowing the empire to regain its former glory. Then why? Lin Lang was puzzled. Why do we care so much? Let's go in and take a look first. Ningyu waved his hand and said, "We'll deal with it when it comes." After finishing this sentence, Ningyu took the lead and entered the two-world shop. Dushita and Lin Lang hesitated for a moment before following closely behind Ningyu. Swish, 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 swish. Just as Ningyu and Dushita entered the two-world shop, for beams of cold light shot towards them. Swish! Ningyu flicked his wrist, slashing out 4 beams of sword light with the red devil sword. The sword light collided with the cold light, instantly shattering the cold light. I knew there was something wrong with you guys. After destroying the cold light, Ningyu coldly stared at Inquirer Bao and Old Zhao as he spoke in a low voice. Speak! What do you guys want exactly? Clap, clap, clap. Old Zhao didn't reply to Ningyu. Instead, he clapped his hands behind him. Sha, sha, sha. Then, a young figure slowly appeared in front of Ningyu and the others. You. Feeling the aura of the young man, Ningyu's face changed dramatically. It wasn't because of how strong the young man was, but because his aura was somewhat similar to the Taimuyu that Ningyu had killed before. Actually, I've noticed you guys since you entered the black market. The young man said calmly, I can sense the aura of the Ironwood family from you, and you're not from the Ironwood family. This means that there are only 2 possibilities. First, you've met the Ironwood family before, and you're friends. Second, you have killed the Tai Mu family. So what? Ningyu forced himself to calm down. The young man was a level 2 half-step Immortal King. In the black market, he didn't believe that the young man dared to do anything to him. Nothing. The young man said, First, let me introduce myself. My name is Tai Mu Chang, the old ancestor of the Tai Mu family. Chapter 2372. Whoosh! Hearing the words of the young man, Tai Mu Chang, Ningyu's expression changed slightly. Since Tai Mu Chang was the ancestor of the Tai Mu family, then today's matter would be rather difficult to resolve. After all, he was the one who killed Tai Mu Yu, and most of the other Tai Mu family warriors, such as Tai Feng, had died because of him. At this time, Tai Mu Chang was making things difficult for him. To be honest, even if he had the strength of a 5th stage half-step Immortal King, it would still be quite troublesome. There was no other reason. Tai Mu Chang was the owner of the two-world shop, which meant that he definitely had the two-world stone on him. Although Tai Mu Chang's cultivation level had fallen to the Immortal King level, who knew how much power he could wield now? What if he possessed the strength of a 5th stage half-step Immortal King? Wouldn't he be in serious trouble today? Hee, don't be nervous. Perhaps guessing what Ningyu was thinking, Tai Mu Chang smiled and said, Just now, Elder Zhao and Detective Bao were just testing you. They didn't mean to make you their enemy. Ningyu raised his eyebrows, feeling a little surprised. Judging from Tai Mu Chang's words, he seemed to have other plans. As expected, just as Ningyu was pondering over the reason, Tai Mu Chang's voice rang out once more. Tai Mu Yu, Tai Feng, they were afraid that I would use up the mother spring of the Ironwood clan. So they secretly took the mother spring and left, leaving me alone in the Ironwood ruins. Tai Mu Chang's expression was somewhat resentful as he said, coldly, The Ironwood ruins are the graves of the Ironwood clan's experts. I'm trapped in there, and it's almost impossible for me to survive. However, the heavens do not disappoint those who persevere. I found a new mother spring in the ironwood ruins and healed the injuries in my body, allowing me to escape. Whoosh! Hearing this, Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. His injuries were healed? Didn't that mean that Tai Muqiang currently possessed the battle prowess of an immortal king? The more he thought about it, the more Ning Yu felt that it was possible, because from the beginning to the end, he had not clearly felt Tai Muqiang's aura. What he sensed was only an aura similar to that of Tai Muyu and Tai Feng. Although he was shocked, Ning Yu quickly calmed down. Counter soldiers with arms and water with earth. If Tai Muqiang wanted to take him down here, he would have to pay a price. Tell me, what do you want? Ning Yu calmly looked at Tai Muqiang and asked, Don't tell me you specially invited us here to listen to your story. Of course not. Tai Muqiang smiled. I heard that you guys want to go to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. Can you tell me the purpose of your trip? Thump. Although Tai Muqiang spoke lightly, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat when he heard it. Tai Muqiang. They were coming with great ferocity. His intentions were not in the wine. According to Ning Yu's guess, Tai Muqiang's true purpose was to inquire about the secret realm of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. Glancing at Lin Lang, Ning Yu finally chose to tell the truth when he saw the sinister expression on Lin Lang's face. He then spoke. We are heading to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire because we want to search for a secret realm. Pardon me for asking. Tai Muqiang said, Do you know that there are a total of 4 immortal kings guarding the secret realm? What? Hearing this, Ning Yu's mouth was slightly agape. 4 immortal kings guarding the secret realm? With this kind of strength, even if he went to the secret realm, what use could he make? How is that possible? Lin Lang and Ning Yu's reactions were more or less the same. He exclaimed, That secret realm is located in the depths of the mountains, and the entrance can move at any time. Not to mention immortal kings. Even existences surpassing immortal kings would find it difficult to accurately locate the entrance. Speaking up to here, Lin Lang's voice came to an abrupt halt. At this moment, no matter how stupid Lin Lang was, he could guess that Tai Muqiang was trying to get information from him. With regards to the secret realm, Tai Muqiang should know very little. Tai Muqiang did not mind Lin Lang stopping his introduction. He went straight to the point and said, I want to cooperate with you and go to the secret realm together. What do you think? Ning Yu and Lin Lang's expressions stiffened. You have already put it this way. Even if we are not satisfied, what can we do? We have no objections, but... Ning Yu first nodded, then hesitated. Speak. Tai Muqiang waved his hand and said, If you have any difficulties, feel free to tell me. As long as I can help, I will definitely help you. That's good. I am lacking 3 Immortal Court tokens. Ning Yu stretched out 3 fingers and said, I have 3 friends who also want to enter the Immortal Court and urgently need 3 tokens that are closer to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. No problem. Tai Muqiang flicked his wrist, and in a split second, 10 Immortal Court tokens flew out. Pa! Ning Yu's eyes and hands were sharp. He steadily caught these tokens. After using his perception to scan, Ning Yu nodded in satisfaction. 10 Immortal Court tokens, and all of them were from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. From the looks of it, he did not need to separate from Dark Emperor and the rest for the time being. After all, he had 4 tokens that belonged to Rong Hao. Once he entered the Immortal Court, he must follow Rong Hao to the Immortal Empire. Kacha! On the other side, just as Ning Yu caught the token, the front door of the Two Realm shop was smashed by a few martial artists. I will go out and take a look. The sudden change caused Elder Zhao and Detective Bao's expression to change. It was rare for the big boss to be here today, and the Two Realm shop that they operated encountered such an incident. It made them very angry. Swish, swish. Their figures flashed, and Elder Zhao and Detective Bao immediately left. Bang, bang. But unfortunately, Elder Zhao and Detective Bao returned not long after they left. However, the way they returned was somewhat strange. They did not walk back, but rolled back. They are very strong. Elder Zhao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, "There are a total of 3 people, and their strength is from stage 2 half-step Immortal King to rustle, rustle, rustle." Before Elder Zhao's voice trailed off, 3 martial artists slowly appeared in front of the door. Golden Snake Lord? Seeing the sudden appearance of the 3 martial artists, Rong Hao was slightly startled and said in surprise, "These 3 martial artists were none other than those who had a conflict with him in Violet Orchid City. They were from the tranquil Immortal Empire. Ningyu, Golden Snake Lord, who was also the bald martial artist, looked at Ningyu and said coldly, 'How dare you kill the clone of the Demon Emperor, and one of the 4 great monarchs, white-haired monarch. Today we will take your life.' Rumble. While they were talking, the bald martial artist's aura suddenly burst out, and it crazily pressed down on Ningyu. Boom! Boom! The other 2 martial artists also burst out their auras, pressing down on Lin Lang and Du Shida. As for Tai Muqiang and Elder Zhao, they were ignored. After all, Tai Muqiang had been concealing his aura. Unless one was stronger than him, it was difficult to see his strength. Chapter 2373. Ka. Being oppressed by the aura of the bald martial artist, Ningyu's performance was still stable. After all, he had the strength of a 5th stage, half-step Immortal King. But Lin Lang, Du Shida, Rong Hao, and the others felt a lot of pressure. Although the bald martial artist did not completely use his aura, there was still a cracking sound coming from their knees. Humph! Ningyu naturally would not watch them be persecuted. He snorted coldly, took a step forward, and said in a deep voice, "You must be the 4 great kings of the heavenly demons. If I can kill one of the kings, it means that I can also kill the 3 of you." Ha ha ha! The bald martial artist seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He first raised his head and laughed wildly, and then said coldly, "How arrogant! With your pseudo-half-step Immortal King cultivation, I'm afraid that killing the white-haired king and the Demon Emperor's clone was completely relying on luck, or relying on trump cards. Luck will not always be on your side, and trump cards will also be used up. If I'm not wrong, now that you are facing me, it is like a sheep facing a wolf. You will definitely die." Just as the bald martial artist's cold words fell, an indifferent voice sounded in his ears. "Is that so?" At this time, Tai Muqiang spoke. Whether it was to put on a show or to leave a good impression on Ningyu, Tai Muqiang would not leave them in the lurch. After all, in his opinion, Ningyu and Lin Lang were very useful. At the very least, before entering the secret realm, he had to ensure that Ningyu and Lin Lang were not killed. "Who do you think you are?" The bald martial artist said coldly, "If you know what's good for you, get lost as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will let you know why flowers are so red." Tai Muqiang, found it a little funny. A 5th stage, half-step Immortal King, level Heavenly Demon, actually came to West City and spoke to him, an Immortal King. One must know, even the City Lord of West City did not dare to be so presumptuous when he saw him. "What are you laughing at?" The bald martial artist's face was a little hideous as he said fiercely, "I will give you a chance to live. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Pucci." However, before the bald cultivator could finish speaking, he felt his body lighten. He flew backwards and landed heavily on the ground. Dark red blood spurted out. The bald martial artist's aura of a 5th stage half-step Immortal King instantly dropped to a 1st stage half-step Immortal King. Moreover, it was still dropping. You! Defeated in one move, the bald cultivator's expression changed drastically. He had never imagined that there would be a celestial king in the 2-realm shop. If he knew, he wouldn't have dared to come here even if he was beaten to death. Before coming here, he had used the secret treasure that the Devil Emperor had given him to investigate. There were only 2 celestial kings in the entire Western city, and both of them were in the city, Lord's mansion. Why did the 2 realms shop also have one? The bald martial artist was puzzled. What about you? Tai Muqiang rolled his eyes and said, Open your mind and let me control it, or you should know the consequences. The bald martial artist's face was gloomy and cold. He was a heavenly demon. If he really submitted to the man in front of him, he could almost foresee his fate. He would first be a hired thug for a period of time. Then his energy would be devoured, and finally he would be killed. This was the fate of almost all powerful heavenly demons. I can't give up without putting up a fight. The bald martial artist's expression changed, and he made a decision. He used all his strength to rush toward Ningyu, hoping to capture Ningyu before Tai Muqiang captured him. As long as he could capture Ningyu, Tai Muqiang would probably not dare to do anything to him. Good timing! However, the bald martial artist obviously forgot his current state. If he was still in his peak state and hadn't been defeated by Tai Muqiang, then he would have a high chance of winning against Ningyu. But now he only had the strength of a first-stage, half-step Immortal King, and it was still dropping. Given his current state, how could he win against Ningyu? Bang! Ning, you didn't let the bald martial artist down. He threw a punch, and it landed squarely on the bald martial artist's chest. Crack, crack, crack! Cracking sounds came out, and several of the bald martial artist's ribs were instantly broken. Run! Seeing the bald martial artist's miserable state, the other 2 heavenly demon kings hurriedly retreated. Seeing that the situation was bad, they immediately fled. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. If they could use the bald martial artist's death to exchange for their lives, then they wouldn't hesitate to betray the bald martial artist. You, Pucci! Seeing the other 2 heavenly demon kings fleeing, the bald martial artist spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. The 3 of them had always acted together. Now that he was abandoned, it was easy to imagine that his fate would be miserable. Where are you going? Dreams were plentiful, but reality was cruel. How could Tai Muqiang allow them to escape? This was 2 realm shop, Tai Muqiang's territory. Bang! Bang! His figure turned into a shadow. Tai Muqiang clenched his fists and punched the long-haired and short-haired kings. It was obvious. Tai Muqiang didn't hold back. His all-out punch almost killed the long-haired and short-haired kings. Luckily, the long-haired and short-haired kings used their trump cards at the critical moment to block the attack. Otherwise, they would be left with corpses. Even so, they were not much different from death. Their nostrils could only exhale but not inhale. I'll give these 2 to you. As for this one, I want to interrogate him. Tai Muqiang pointed at the long-haired and short-haired kings on the ground, then picked up the bald martial artist and tore through the void. Swish! Tai Muqiang's disappearance caused the long-haired kings and the rest to have extremely cold expressions. They knew. Their fate was already decided. However, to survive, they still begged. As long as you let me go, I can tell you a secret regarding the Demon Emperor. Knowing that secret, the next time you fight with the Demon Emperor, you will have an 80% chance of winning. What nonsense. Ning, you wouldn't be tempted by the long-haired kings and the rest. He raised his right foot and stomped on the heads of the long-haired king and the others. Crack! Crack! In an instant, the long-haired and short-haired kings died. Pa! Pa! Ning Yu didn't waste any time. He squatted down and placed his hands on the shoulders of the long-haired and short-haired kings. Chi-Chi, the devouring power in his body, surged crazily. The energy within the bodies of the long-haired and short-haired kings was decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long later, the long-haired and short-haired kings turned into human skin. Hiss! On the other side, Elder Zhao and Detective Bao couldn't help but suck in a mouthful of cold air when they saw the long-haired king's miserable state. Fortunately, Tai Muqiang was here today. Otherwise, the two of them plotted against Ning Yu's group. Their ending wouldn't be any better than the long-haired king's. Chapter 2374. Who? He didn't care about the changes in Elder Zhao's and Prying Bun's expressions. After devouring the long-haired king and the others, Ning Yu couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. To be honest, before coming to the Two-Realm shop, Ning Yu hadn't expected to obtain so many benefits. 10 tokens of the Endless Sky Immortal Empire. The long-haired and short-haired kings were extremely powerful. The effects of the 10 tokens had yet to be revealed, but the long-haired king and the others had already turned them into energy and entered Ning Yu's body. You could say so. Before he devoured the long-haired monarch and the others, Ning Yu's cultivation base was a pseudo-half-step immortal king, and his strength was 1. 5-stage half-step immortal king. After devouring the long-haired monarch and the others, Ning Yu's cultivation base was still at the pseudo-half-step celestial king realm, but his strength had reached the 2nd-stage half-step celestial king realm. Voila! At this moment, the void cracked again. Tai Muqiang's figure flickered, appearing from the void. As soon as he appeared, Tai Muqiang's attention was focused on Ning Yu. There was no other reason. He found that Ning Yu's mental state had been greatly improved. Combined with the 2 human skins on the ground, Tai Muqiang was almost certain that Ning Yu had devoured the long-haired king and the others. Terrifying. Tai Muqiang was shocked. The fact that Ning Yu was able to devour the long-haired and short-haired kings in such a short amount of time and increase his strength by a lot was enough to show how terrifying Ning Yu was. However, Tai Muqiang did not ask too many questions. Because the stronger Ning Yu was, the better it was for him. His true purpose was to enter the secret realm of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. He didn't want to become enemies with Ning Yu for some minor benefits. Get ready. Come with me to the city, Lord's Mansion, to meet a few people. Tai Muqiang only glanced at the 2 pieces of human skin on the ground before changing the topic. In 3 days, there will be a grand meeting in Broken Cliff City. At that time, Western City, Eastern City, Northern City, and Southern City will all send out a large number of geniuses. Martial artists go there. If you can come out on top in the meeting, the City Lord of Broken Cliff City will reward you with 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones. Whoosh! Hearing this, Ning Yu was finally moved. 1,000 2 world stones was not an exaggeration to describe it as a huge sum of money. Go! While Ning Yu was still in shock, Tai Muqiang stomped his feet on the ground and dashed into the distance. Let's go too. Without any hesitation, Ning Yu immediately dashed out and followed closely behind Tai Muqiang. Actually, it was not that Ning Yu was stupid. On the contrary, he was very smart. There were many experts in Western City, and many of them were more powerful than him. Under such circumstances, following Tai Muqiang was clearly the wisest choice. After all, Tai Muqiang had yet to show any signs of killing him. If he were to follow Tai Muqiang now, once he encountered any danger, Tai Muqiang would definitely come to his rescue, just like how Tai Muqiang dealt with the 3 great kings of the sky demons. He took advantage of the situation. At the same time, Western City, City Lord Mansion. In the guest hall. At this time, more than a dozen martial artists had already gathered in the guest hall. Upon closer inspection, one would see that the dozen or so martial practitioners were divided into 3 camps. The leaders of the 3 camps were all very powerful. The leader of the left camp was called Lu Zhanfei. He was a 5th-stage half-step immortal king. The leader of the right camp was called Wu Xiong. He was a 4th-stage half-step immortal king. As for the leader of the middle camp, he was called Wang Yu. He was a terrifying early-stage immortal king. Whoosh! Not long after, in front of the main entrance of the guest hall, an old man in brown clothes appeared. Whoosh! When the old man appeared, everyone in the hall, including Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, and even Wang Yu hurriedly stood up. Haha, everyone, please take a seat. The reason I called you here today is to discuss the Cliff Festival. The old man in brown clothes smiled and said, "No need to be so reserved." Obviously, the old man in brown clothes was the city lord of Western City, the Western Venerable. In order to ensure that Western City would not fall to the last place in the Cliff Festival, the Western Venerable had used his connections to invite Wang Yu and the others. "What are you talking about, Western Venerable?" Wang Yu smiled and said, "The matters of Western City are our matters. As people of Western City, we should share the burden of Western City." Ha ha ha, all right. Everyone, please take a seat. The old man in brown clothes laughed heartily and said, "I'll cut to the chase. I'm sure everyone already knows the rules of the Cliff Festival. As long as your cultivation does not exceed a first stage half-step Immortal King, including first stage half-step Immortal King, you can participate in the arena competition. As long as you can enter the top 10, the Cliff City Lord will reward you with 100 pieces of 2 world stones. The champion will be rewarded with 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones, an Immortal King elixir, and the Cliff City Lord's personal cultivation impartation." Boom! The crowd in the guest hall was in an uproar. The 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones were secondary. The Immortal King elixir was secondary too. Most importantly, the Cliff City Lord's personal cultivation impartation. One had to know, even the last 3 disciples of the Cliff City Lord had not enjoyed such treatment. Today we will start with a simple selection. 5 martial artists will be selected to represent Western City in the Cliff Festival. The Western Venerable continued. "Shall we start now?" Lu Zhanfei asked. "There's no hurry. Someone is not here yet. Just now he sent a voice transmission to me, saying that he has a surprise for me." The Western Venerable waved his hand and said, "I'd like to see who is coming." Swoosh! Just as the Western Venerable finished his words, a few figures appeared at the main entrance of the guest hall. Without a doubt, these figures were Ningyu and the rest. The leader was Tai Muqiang, followed by Ningyu, Du Shida, Lin Lang, and Rong Hao. "Tai Muqiang, you're late." The Western Venerable said to Tai Muqiang, "If you can't give me a surprise, I'll have to punish you." As he spoke, the Western Venerable shifted his gaze behind Tai Muqiang and began to observe carefully. The Western Venerable saw Du Shida first. Although Du Shida's cultivation was at the peak of half-step Immortal King, he was not very strong. In fact, he was very weak. Very soon, he was overlooked by the Western Venerable. The second person was Rong Hao. As someone from the Immortal Court, Rong Hao's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm. His overall strength was comparable to a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. However, this strength was obviously not enough to catch the Western Venerable's attention. The third person was Lin Lang. When he saw Lin Lang, the Western Venerable raised his eyebrows. Lin Lang's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm, but his overall strength was abnormally strong. In a one-on-one battle, Lin Lang could even compete with a peak of half-step Immortal King. Could he be the surprise for me? The Western Venerable was slightly disappointed. Lin Lang's talent was not bad. If he was nurtured well, when he reached the peak of half-step Immortal King, he should be able to compete with a grade 1 half-step Immortal King. However, the Cliff Festival was about to start and time was limited. It was not enough for Lin Lang to reach the peak of half-step Immortal King. It was not that he had used his trump card, but that Ningyu had held back. Otherwise, even if he had used his trump card, it would have been very easy for Ningyu to severely injure him. Gulp! Inside the guest hall, when everyone saw how easily Ningyu defeated they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Especially those who were going to fight for the 5 spots. Their expressions were extremely ugly. Originally, one of the 5 spots was decided by Sun He. They would fight for the other 4 spots with all their might. But now, even someone as strong as Sun He was defeated so easily. Didn't that mean that they only had 3 spots? What was more exaggerated was that Ning Yu's cultivation was not that high. Lin Lang and Rong Hao were both peak stage heaven monarchs who came with him. They might take one of the spots as well. From the looks of it, what was there for them to fight for? He's not simple. The Western Venerable's expression changed from one of worry to one of seriousness. From Ning Yu's attack, he could conclude that Ning Yu was far from his limit. A stage 1/2 step to a mortal king was not his limit. Perhaps Ning Yu's strength had reached a stage 5/2 step to a mortal king. I have to find a way to confirm it. The Western Venerable was overjoyed. Once he confirmed that Ning Yu had a stage 5/2 step to a mortal king strength, he would definitely give Ning Yu some benefits and let Ning Yu break through to a stage 2/2 step to a mortal king. After all, a stage 5/2 step to a mortal king would definitely not be able to get the first place in the cliff meet. Although he was thinking about it, he did not show it. No matter how strong Ning Yu was, if Ning Yu wanted to get what he wanted, it must be tied to his interests. Thinking of this, the Western Venerable looked at Tai Muqiang and said, "You have indeed brought me a surprise." "Don't worry. He will definitely represent West City in the cliff meet and will do his best to get the first place." How could Tai Muqiang not know what the Western Venerable was thinking? He waved his hand and said, "As long as you give him benefits, Ning Yu will help you fulfill your wish." On the other side, Ning Yu's face was full of black lines. "How long have I known you? You speak as if we are very close. Even if we are close, I am not the kind of person who will fulfill my wish as long as there are benefits. I am a person with principles, an upright and outspoken person. 1,002 realm stones." The Western Venerable stretched out a finger and looked around the guest hall. He said, "If anyone can get the first place in the cliff meet, I will personally reward him with 1,002 realm stones." Boom! The Western Venerable's words caused another uproar in the guest hall. In addition to the 1,002 realm stones that the Cliff City Lord had rewarded, there was a total of 2,002 realm stones. The reward of 2,002 world stones was something that anyone would look forward to very much. I'll say it again. I'll cut to the chase. Let's start the selection. The Western Venerable said in a clear voice, "Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, Wang Yu, Tai Muqiang, each of you will send a martial artist to fight in pairs. The winner will get the first place. The loser will stay and wait for others to challenge him until there are no more challengers. The loser will get the rest of the places. Rules: simple and brutal. They would fight. The winner would get the place. The loser would lose the place. To motivate you, I've decided that whoever gets the first place will be rewarded with 102 realm stones." The Western Venerable took out a spatial ring and said, "There are 102 realm stones in here. I'll leave it here. Next, you will fight in pairs. Whoever wins first can take it away. Ning Yu, you go." Tai Muqiang patted Ning Yu's shoulder and said, 102 realm stones is not a small fortune. Even I'm tempted." "Xiao Hu, you go," Lu Zhanfei said. "Fang Ping, you go," Wu Xiong said. "Sun, I think Zhou Zai should go." Wang Yu had wanted to send Sun He. After all, Sun He's cultivation was a grade 1/2 step immortal king. He was extremely powerful. But on second thought, if Sun He was defeated, their morale would be greatly affected if they met Ning Yu again. Chapter 2376. I want to try again. However, Sun, he obviously did not want to give up. He took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "You have to get up from where you fell." This. Wang Yu looked troubled. Under normal circumstances, even if Sun he lost to Ning Yu, he would definitely be able to get a spot as long as he participated in the losers group competition. However, Wang Yu was afraid that Sun He's consecutive defeats would affect his morale. After all, anyone would feel depressed after losing to the same person twice. Without a doubt, Wang Yu did not think highly of Sun He. He thought that Sun He would definitely lose in the second battle with Ningyu. Since Brother Sun wants to spar with Ningyu, I won't force you. At this moment, Zhou Zhe took a step back and said, "You have to get up from where you fell." "This is true, but I hope that Brother Sun can act within his means and not make a pointless struggle." "Humph! I don't need you to interfere in my affairs." Sun, he snorted coldly and turned to look at Ningyu. He said coldly, "I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept the challenge?" Ning Yu's face darkened. "You can challenge me if you want, but you're bullying me by talking to me in such a tone." "I knew you wouldn't dare." Sun, he flicked his wrist and took out a storage bag. He said, "There are 102 world stones in here. It's all I have. As long as you defeat me, it's yours." Gulp. Looking at the storage bag in Sun He's hand, Ning Yu could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Was it really that realistic? "I just didn't agree to it immediately, and you took out 102 world stones to tempt me." If he was not afraid that Sun He would keep the 2 world stones, Ning Yu would definitely wait a little longer. "Actually, I think that there's no need for any stakes in the spar between us." Ning Yu waved his hand and said in a clear voice, "We're fighting for a spot in the Broken Cliff meeting, so there's no need for us to fight to the death. But since you insist on taking out 102 world stones, then I won't refuse. Take this." Sun He was honest. He tossed the storage pouch aside and dashed toward Ningyu in a flash. Sun He's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Ningyu. He punched out, bringing with it a violent gale of energy, ruthlessly smashing towards Ningyu's chest. At the same time, on the other side, the Western Venerable One glared at Ningyu. He wanted to see if Ningyu could win easily in their second exchange. Although he knew that Ningyu was extremely powerful, he did not dare to underestimate Ningyu. However, he had to be sure, he had to look carefully, because he had already planned to nurture Ningyu. He could not carelessly hand over the benefits to Ningyu. Bang! All of a sudden, Ningyu and Sun He's fists collided. The 2 fists collided. The result was the same as before. Before Ning Yu could react, Sun He was sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. Uft! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Sun He's face turned extremely pale. The only good thing was that Sun He's aura did not drop this time. Whoosh! After defeating Sun He, Ning Yu casually picked up the storage pouch on the table and shook it before saying to Sun He, "Thank you." "I should be thanking you." Sun He was honest. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Luckily you held back just now. Otherwise, I would have lost a layer of skin even if I didn't die." "It's my duty." Ning Yu placed the storage pouch into the Red Fiend and said, casually. In fact, it would be very easy for Ningyu to defeat or even kill Sun He. However, Ningyu did not do that. There was no other reason. Ningyu and Sun He did not have a deep grudge. On the contrary, they might work together at the cliff meet. It would be irrational to severely injure Sun He at this time. Ningyu wins. The Western Venerable One's voice was heard. Second round, Fong Ping versus Zhao Hu. Whoosh! Whoosh! Fong Ping and Zhao Hu stepped out at the same time. They first saluted each other with their fists, and then began an intense battle. Rumble! The battle between Fong Ping and Zhao Hu was more intense. From the beginning of the battle to the end, it took more than 10 minutes. Fong Ping's cultivation was a half-step Immortal King. Zhao Hu's cultivation was a peak half-step Immortal King. Although the battle between them took more than 10 minutes to determine the winner, the result was not out of everyone's expectations. Fong Ping was the final winner. Of course, whether Fong Ping or Zhao Hu won, the result would not affect Ningyu. Anyway, He had already obtained one of the 5 spots. Next, after a few rounds of intense battles, the final 5 spots were determined. Ningyu, Sun He, Zhou Zhe, Fangping, Zhaohu. Sun He was not discouraged by his 2 defeats. Instead, he became more courageous as the battle progressed and obtained the 5th spot. Ningyu, this is for you. After the spots were determined, the Western Venerable One tossed a storage bag to Ningyu and said, I, the Western Venerable One, am a man of my word. There are 102 realm stones in here. Ningyu took the storage bag with a smile. Including the 102 realm stones he won from Sun He, Ningyu now had a total of 203 2 realm stones. Seeing that Ningyu accepted the 2 realm stones, the Western Venerable One said loudly, Since the spots have been determined, our next task is to participate in the Cliff Grand Meeting and strive to get first place. Whoosh! The Western Venerable One was not a person to waste time. He reached out with both hands and tore a crack in the void in front of him. Then he went straight into it. Behind him, Ningyu, Tai Muqiang, and the rest followed him into the void. Not long after, at the main entrance of Cliff City, crack! The void suddenly split open, and a dozen martial artists appeared. They were none other than the others. They were Ningyu and the rest who had left West City, including Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, Tai Muqiang, and the Western Venerable One. There were a total of 12 people. The 5 martial artists who were going to participate in the Cliff Grand Meeting, as well as Rong Hao, Du Shida, and Lin Lang. Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu and the rest arrived at the main entrance of Cliff City, 6 martial artists dashed toward them from the east. Soon, the 6 martial artists arrived in front of Ningyu and the rest. Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's the Western Venerable One. The white-haired old man who was leading the group curled his lips and said sinisterly, Don't tell me that West City is going to get first place again in the Cliff Grand Meeting like last time? Ha ha ha. As he spoke, the white-haired old man laughed maniacally to himself. That was because West City had indeed gotten first place in the previous Cliff Grand Meeting. However, it was the reverse first place. For cities, no, including Cliff City, there were a total of 5 cities. West City ranked last and was eliminated in the first round. According to the rules, the resources obtained by the first city to be eliminated would be reduced by 10%. Actually, the 4 cities were all under the jurisdiction of Cliff City. The Cliff City Lord had the direct appointment and immunity of the city lords of the 4 cities. Every year, the Cliff City Lord would take out a large number of 2 world stones and distribute them to the 4 cities. There were even rumors. Cliff City and the 4 cities had long been secretly controlled by the super celestial kingdoms of the Celestial Court. Of course. Chapter 2377. Eastern Venerable One. Don't you think you're meddling a little too much? The Western Venerate's face turned cold as he said, Just manage your Eastern city well. There is no need for you to concern yourself with the matters of our Western city. It's just a joke. Why get angry? The white-haired elder, who was the Eastern Venerable Lord, smiled and shifted his gaze behind the Western Venerable Lord. Unfortunately, it was a coincidence. The first person that the Eastern Venerable One saw was Ningyu. When he found out that Ningyu's cultivation base was only at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, his mouth was slightly agape and his face was filled with astonishment. Ha ha ha! While surprised, the Eastern Venerable One threw his head back and laughed maniacally. After laughing maniacally, the Eastern Reverend said sinisterly, Western City is really full of geniuses. I didn't expect that even a pseudo-half-step Immortal King could be sent to participate in the Broken Cliff meeting. That's right. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry is qualified to participate in the Broken Cliff Festival. If I were to encounter such a person, I would definitely beat the crap out of him. It might not be appropriate to search for his teeth all over the ground. Just cripple his cultivation. Cripple my cultivation? You guys are too cruel. In my opinion, you should break his arms and legs at most. No, no, no. In my opinion, let them kneel down and kowtow to us. I say, the four of you, can't you be more merciful? No matter what, he's a peerless genius that Western City had selected after experiencing innumerable hardships. So he ought to be given some respect. The 5 martial artists selected from the Oriental City began to discuss among themselves. The 5 of them had the right to be arrogant. That was because all 5 of them were first stage half-step celestial kings. A stage 1 half-step immortal king against a pseudo half-step immortal king. As long as the opponent wasn't a piece of trash, the opponent would basically be able to win. What is the meaning of this? This matter concerned the reputation of Western City, so Sun he immediately stepped forward to reprimand them. What do you mean? A young man from Eastern City puckered his lips and said, Sun he, I know you. You're at the half-step Immortal King realm, just like me. But I can tell you clearly that I only need to use 50% of my strength to deal with you. I can beat the crap out of you. Arrogant. Sun, he flew into a rage. His figure flashed, and he immediately rushed towards the young man. Bang! Although Sun, he was very decisive in his attacks, however, the result was not satisfactory. The young man was right. He had only used 50% of his strength to easily defeat Sun He. Allow me. Seeing Sun He's defeat, Zhou Zhe immediately rushed out. Bang! The result was no different. Zhou Zhe was in an even more miserable state than Sun He. This time, the young man had only used 30% of his strength to easily defeat him. Next, Fang Ping, Zhao Hu. The 2 of them overestimated themselves and charged out, wanting to regain some face for Western City. But the result was still the same. Pa! After defeating 4 martial artists in a row, the young man clapped his hands and said calmly, Western City is really getting worse with each passing year. Last year, a powerful martial artist appeared, but this year, all of them are repulsive. Whoosh! Hearing the young man's mocking words, Sun He, Zhou Zhe, and Fang Ping all shifted their gazes to Ningyu. Ningyu, why didn't you make a move? Sun He's expression was very ugly as he said to Ningyu, the people from Eastern City provoked us. As the number 1 participant in the cliff meeting, how can you sit back and do nothing? The others also glared at Ningyu. Obviously, they were angry that Ningyu did not make a move. The actions of Sun, he, and the others seriously affected the young man. He raised his eyebrows, and his gaze fell on Ningyu. It seemed that Ningyu was the most powerful one in Western City. However, the young man was a little confused, because Ningyu's cultivation base was only a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. He really could not understand why a pseudo-half-step Immortal King would attract the attention of Sun, he, and the others. Could it be? Was Ningyu pretending to be weak? Thinking of this, the young man directly cupped his fists at Ningyu and said, My name is Qian Bo. I hope to have a spar with you. Don't be nervous. Ningyu ignored Qian Bo and said to Sun, he the dog bit you. Do you have to bite back? What do you mean? Seeing that Ningyu had ignored him, Qian Bo said coldly, Don't be so shameless. Western Venerable, I thought the people from Eastern City were arrogant enough. I didn't expect the people from Western City to be even more arrogant. The Eastern Venerable said with a calm expression, I hope that Western City won't encounter us at the cliff meeting. Let's go. Then the Eastern Venerable glared at Ningyu and turned to walk toward Cliff City. However, before the Eastern Venerable could take a few steps, Qian Bo said hurriedly, City Lord, I want to have a spar with Ningyu, regardless of life and death. Swoosh! As soon as Qian Bo's words fell, the surroundings instantly fell silent. This included the people from Western City and Eastern City. It was clearly irrational to have a life-and-death battle before the cliff meeting had even begun. Are you sure you want to have a life-and-death battle with Ningyu? The Eastern Venerable stopped in his tracks and asked. I'm sure. Qianbo said in a deep voice. The truth was, Qianbo was a little uncertain. He had two guesses from the expressions of Sun, he, and Jose. Firstly, Sun, he, and the others had a grudge against Ningyu, so they were trying to frame Ningyu. Secondly, Ningyu is very strong, so Sun, he, and the others were very convinced of his strength. It would be fine if it was the second possibility, but if it was the first one, he might not be able to bear the consequences. This is for you. The Eastern Venerable and Qianbo had similar thoughts. In order to ensure that Qianbo would win, he secretly gave Qianbo a black bead when the crowd was not paying attention. The black bead was something he had obtained from the Immortal Court. It was no exaggeration. As long as the black bead was detonated, even a fifth-stage, half-step Immortal King would die. Initially, the Eastern Venerable was going to give the bead to the person who brought glory to Eastern City, but now he had no choice but to give it to Qianbo. This was because the grudge between him and the Western Venerable was so great that it could not be reconciled. In order to gain the upper hand in the battle against Western City, he did not hesitate to give the black bead to Qianbo first. Take it. The Western Venerable was not idle when the Eastern Venerable gave the black bead to Qianbo. He silently stuffed a golden command token into Ningyu's hand, and then he said in a low voice, "At the moment of danger, pour your immortal energy into the command token, and it'll be able to exert a terrifying energy. Even a fifth-stage, half-step Immortal King wouldn't be able to bear the consequences." It was obvious. The Western Venerable and the Eastern Venerable were both willing to pay. One took out the black bead, while the other took out the golden token. Can I say something?" Ningyu accepted the golden token, then raised his right hand and said, "Qianbo wants to fight me to the death, but I don't want to fight him to the death." "You don't dare?" Qianbo said fiercely. "If you don't dare, then kneel down and kowtow to me." "I'm sorry, it's not that I don't dare, but I feel that even if I kill you, it won't do me any good, so I might as well not fight." Chapter 2378. "You!" Hearing Ningyu's arrogant words, Qianbo gnashed his teeth in anger. No matter what, he had the cultivation of a half-step Immortal King, while Ningyu was just a fake half-step Immortal King. A fake half-step Immortal King dared to talk to him like this. Did he really have the confidence? However, now that Ningyu had completely infuriated Ningyu, even if Ningyu had the confidence, Qianbo would still go all out and show no mercy. Taking a deep breath, Qianbo said coldly, "What do you want?" "Pa." "Simple." Ningyu snapped his fingers and said, "Add 1,002 realm stones." Swoosh! As soon as Ningyu said that, in an instant, the eyes of the cultivators on the Oriental city's side widened, and their faces were filled with disbelief. 1,002 realm stones? One should know. The first place of the Broken Cliff meet was only rewarded with 1,002 realm stones. Now Ningyu asked for 1,002 realm stones as a reward. Was he really that confident in his own strength? Ningyu's words made Qianbo speechless. To be honest, he had a lot of 2 realm stones, but he definitely couldn't afford 1,000. Seeing Qianbo's expression, Ningyu shrugged and said, "You don't even have 1,002 realm stones, yet you want to have a life-and-death fight. Aren't you ashamed? You. Qianbo was shaking with anger. Being mocked by Ningyu in front of so many people, he couldn't help but feel angry no matter how thick-skinned he was. Moving his eyes, Qianbo looked at the remaining 4 warriors from Oriental City who were participating in the Broken Cliff meet. Although he didn't say anything, his meaning was self-evident. He wanted 2 realm stones. In Qianbo's opinion, as long as he could gather 1,002 realm stones, Ningyu would definitely have a life-and-death fight with him. "I have 200 here." After a while, a grade 1 half-step Immortal King took out a storage bag and threw it to Qianbo. "I have 200 too." I have 300. I only have 100. After a while, Qian Bo had collected 802 realm stones. He took out another 202 realm stones, which was exactly 1,000 stones. Shaking the storage bag containing the 1,002 world stones, Qian Bo said to Ning Yu coldly, "Here are 1,002 world stones. If you win the death match with me, they will belong to you." Bang! Immediately after, Qian Bo took a step forward and shouted coldly, "I'll ask you one last time, do you dare or not?" SOO. Ning Yu used his senses to check the storage bag and said, A 1,000 stones of 2 world is indeed a lot, but it's nothing to me." "You want to act shamelessly?" Qian Bo's eyes widened. If he was not afraid of the Western Venerable One, he would have taught Ning Yu a lesson long ago. He would not have waited until now. Although the Eastern Venerable Lord was extremely arrogant, he was actually slightly weaker than the Western Venerable Lord. If they were to really fight to the death, the Eastern Venerable One would definitely be the first to die. On the other hand, the Eastern Venerable One's weakness limited Qian Bo's ability to be arrogant. That was because Qian Bo knew very well he could mock Ning Yu and provoke Ning Yu with words. But as long as Ning Yu did not agree to a death match with him, he would not be able to make the first move. "I'm not trying to act shamelessly." Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, "How about this? We'll decide this in one move. 1 punch for you, 1 punch for me. Let's see whose fist is harder." Ning Yu's way of fighting to the death surprised Qian Bo. In a death match, he had to use his trump card no matter what. Moreover, he planned to use the black bead that the Eastern Venerable One had given him right from the start. However, according to Ning Yu's way of fighting, how was he going to use the black bead? Just as Qian Bo was confused, Ning Yu spoke again. "Let's make this clear. The one who dies has to hand over everything to the other party." Good Lord! The Eastern Venerable One's expression changed slightly when he heard what Ning Yu said. He finally understood why Ning Yu wanted to fight in such a way. It was obvious. Ning Yu had seen how he gave the black bead to Ning Yu earlier. Or rather, the Western Venerable One had found out and told Ning Yu about it. Regardless, Ning Yu knew that Qian Bo had the black bead on him. Deciding life and death with 1 punch might seem exaggerated, but it was actually Ning Yu's confidence in his ability. Just think about it. If Ning Yu was a yes man, he would definitely use the token that the Western Venerable One had given him. "Okay, I promise you." After being provoked by Ning Yu, Qian Bo immediately shouted, "I hope you won't play any tricks. I'll stand where I am and let you punch first." In reality, Qian Bo was not a fool. The reason why he didn't attack first was that he wanted to see what Ning Yu was up to. As for deciding life and death with 1 punch, the one who punched later would obviously have an advantage. After all, the one who punched first would not burn his blood essence and vitality. The one who punched later could burn his blood essence and vitality to enhance his ability once he realized that things were not going well. "No problem, as you wish." Ning Yu did not waste time talking to Qian Bo. He stomped on the ground and dashed out at a terrifying speed. Ning Yu's speed was so fast that it only took him 0.1 seconds to arrive in front of Qian Bo, giving Qian Bo no time to react. Oh no! Qian Bo was indeed a half-step immortal king. Seeing that Ning Yu had appeared in front of him rapidly and his fist was getting bigger, he immediately burned his blood essence and vitality to throw a terrifying punch. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Ning Yu's fist collided with Qian Bo's. The 2 fists collided. Qian Bo stood on the spot without moving. On the other hand, Ning Yu retreated over 10 m before he stopped. Swoosh! However, Ning Yu did not choose to stop and recuperate. Instead, he rushed to the storage bag on the other side. Pah! He heaved a sigh of relief when he got Qian Bo's storage bag containing 1,002 realm stones. "What are you doing?" "Put down the storage bag. You've been defeated by Qian Bo," so you should hang yourself. That's right. Kill yourself now, or we'll kill you for Qianbo. Ning Yu's action completely infuriated the 4 martial artists from Oriental City. They all spoke out against Ning Yu. They even displayed their aura, as if they would attack if Ning Yu did not put down the storage bag and kill himself. Why are you so agitated? Ning Yu curled his lips and said, The death match between Qianbo and I ended long ago. Qianbo was killed by me, so this storage bag should be mine. Moreover, I'm going to take all of Qianbo's belongings and even strip his clothes. Are you going to kill me? You. Hearing Ning Yu's words, the 4 martial artists from Oriental City opened their mouths slightly, and their faces were filled with disbelief. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen someone as arrogant as Ning Yu. You've obviously lost, but you make it sound like you've won. Humph, I'll give you one last chance. Put down the storage bag and kill yourself. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.